The narrative starts when Kong Maru was a student. It was the year of the 2002 World Cup, and Maru was sitting with his father watching a soccer game. Though he did not like the sport, he would have preferred to be watching cartoons. He could not help it because the TV was his dad's. Maru told himself, soccer is a child's game, but since there were no other alternatives, he had to settle for it. Little did he know that from that moment on, 12-year-old Kong Maru would be hooked on soccer, even more than video games. He spent the whole day stuck to the TV. After each match, Maru was a highly reserved boy. And for him, getting through each day was already a feat. But to see those players struggle on the pitch like warriors on a battlefield captivated him more and more. Kong Maru's love for soccer became feverish, for the first time in his life. He longed badly to do something. Each afternoon, he would rush out of the house and head to the neighborhood soccer field. His heart was filled with one aspiration, to score a stunning goal. Like Park Ji-sung, and to be praised. Maru wished to pass by the other children with pride. But life did not go as he wished. At the field, the children were playing rock-paper-scissors to sort into teams. Maru, gasping for air, approached, catching his friends off guard. "Hey, Kong Maru, do you want to play soccer with us?" they inquired. Gasping, Maru nodded, yes. But one of the children glanced at Maru unsurely. So in the end, both teams were attempting to transfer Maru to the other side because, with his fat, bulky frame, how was he supposed to play soccer? After a lot of discussion and back and forth, they came to an agreement, forget it, let's just kick him out of the game. Maru was left dazed and discouraged. He never realized that, in his friends' eyes, he was nothing but a fat pig, a failure they believed only had eating on his mind. He felt like an empty tin can, used and useless. Knowing how useless he was, Maru was frustrated and lost hope, confining himself within his home. Soccer, however, lingered in his thoughts. His feet would itch, yearning to kick a ball once more. He could not contain himself, and Maru behaved erratically, even fantasizing his father's head as a soccer ball. He kicked his father directly in the head. We all know how that turned out. Although Maru had never even played soccer before, something felt like it was restraining him from kicking the ball. However, soccer started to occupy his thoughts, and he kept going back to the field. Day after day, Maru would hang around the soccer field and watch. His friends took notice. A boy asked, "Hey, Maru, do you want to play soccer?" Naturally, Maru replied confidently. "Alright, then stand there and retrieve the ball. If we need a player, we'll let you in." And that is how Maru started working as the ball boy. Day by day, he turned out to be the ball retriever of the team. Thanks to Maru, all the players played freely, and the boy felt extremely happy. For the first time, he felt that his presence was making a difference to the team. For some unknown reason, Maru's dad went out and purchased a soccer ball for him, which made Maru so elated that he hugged his father tightly. And from that time on, Maru was the official ball boy for the team. Maru had begun to practice soccer himself, dreaming one day that he would be able to play a real game. He relentlessly practiced, working on all from simple drills to conditioning himself physically and mastering how to kick the ball correctly. Every day, Maru practiced hard, trying to put the ball into the top right corner of the goal. He approached his run-up and kicked the ball with good force. But it did not turn out as expected. The ball ricocheted off the wall and struck Maru's square face, sending him flat on the ground. But Maru could not help feeling a weird sense of pride. He had never been so fixated on something in his entire life. Once Maru got interested in something, he never let go. He continued kicking. One ball after another, if 5 shots failed, he would attempt 10, 100, even 1,000. Slowly but surely, his shots approached the target. Daily, at the same hour, Maru shot his practice shots. After all that work, Kong Maru finally earned his first achievement. Today, as usual, there was a soccer match being played on the field. One of the players made a strong shot, and the ball went right through the defense into the goal. Sadly, the ball collided with the goalpost. It was then that everybody realized that Maru had earned his first milestone. He was now a super ball boy. Tears flowed down his face as he explained to everyone, "I understand you must have so many questions, but no need to be upset. I'm not solely a quiet boy who gets along without making an effort." The reality was, Kong Maru had been referred to as a good kid as he had gotten through the position of ball boy for 5 grueling years. But he was also very annoyed if he was doing so well at getting the ball. Could they not even thank him? Those people were shameless. Then a boy with red hair shouted at Kong Maru, and a couple more boys chimed in, saying, "We have to go to the tryouts. So clear this area up and come with us." For all his ire, Maru swallowed his irritation and went along, saying, "You guys will be thirsty, right? Need water? Towels?" On the Haza High School soccer field, where the first-year student tryouts were being held, the other boys discussed making the team. Meanwhile, Kong Maru alone was cleaning up their equipment. Maru too wished to be part of the soccer team, but only students with actual talent for the sport were invited to the tryouts. Nevertheless, life is full of surprises, if you persist. Perhaps one day a miracle will occur. But even the soccer ball did not seem to heed Maru. It hit him in the head, as if to say, "Knock off daydreaming, pal." The rest of the boys laughed and mocked Maru, calling him a walking piece of meat. It happened that the ball had sailed over from the adjacent field. An apologetic boy with glasses said sorry. On the other hand, the boy beside him, who had a less courteous demeanor, said, "Hey, can you kick the ball back?" Seeing his friend's uncivil tone, the boy with glasses said, "You saw what happened, didn't you?" John Sun-won was the captain of the Haza High School soccer team and the boy with glasses. The blonde boy with the hard face was Song Cgu. In a strict tone, Song Cgu ordered, "Maru, kick the ball back." The boys burst out laughing, teasing their fat friend. Although Maru didn't say anything, secretly, he thought, "Soccer is my life." Without knowing it, he automatically started moving, maybe picking up that ball was his fate. But then he encountered a steep slope. The ball went out of Maru's hand, and only then did he realize how steep the slope was. Matters were going to get worse. Before him stretched a building site with a pit. Warning signs indicated, "Slow down, building in progress." Panic seized Kong Maru as he rushed on. He dashed to the right, attempting to divert the ball to the left, away from the pit. But Maru's bad luck struck again. The ball bounced off the tracks of an excavator and continued to roll toward the edge. Acting quickly, Maru attempted the same maneuver again, but at this speed, he knew he wouldn't last long. His actions were the same ones he had rehearsed for hours on the soccer pitch each afternoon. The two soccer team members observing were amazed at his agility. Maru shouted as he struggled to maintain control. But to his bad luck, there was another pit in front of him. Worrying about what would happen if he lost the ball and fell into the pit scared Maru, which caused him to suddenly speed up. Quickly, Maru rushed forward and used his foot to stop the ball. Then, with his shoe tip, he kicked the ball over and above the pit. The ball hit a road sign and bounced back. Maru whirled around elegantly, picked up the ball, and, without pause, sprang up to try a perfect volley. The three boys watching couldn't believe their eyes. Maru put all his strength into a powerful kick, aiming directly at the center of the ball. The blonde boy, who had been cold and indifferent up to this point, was now astonished. But, as with Maru, things did not go as planned. The ball struck a tree and bounced back, hitting Maru in the face. This made the blonde boy come to a sudden stop, his jaw wide open. In the meantime, Maru, annoyed, wondered, "Why me again?" He landed on the ground with a thud, and the equipment he was carrying spilled all over the place. The three boys were angry because most of the items contained their phones. The redhead boy screamed, "You loser, you're worth nothing, I'll show you a thing or two." But before he could move, a ball came flying in from the distance and hit him on top of the head, sending him flat to the ground. Maru opened his eyes, not sure who had rescued him, and saw the blonde boy from before standing there. The blonde boy held out his hand and said, "Come on, let's go to the soccer team tryouts together." Kong Maru couldn't get what he was being told. "What do you mean?" he asked skeptically. The boy grinned and said, "What do you say about joining the soccer team?" Having seen the emblem on the boy's chest, Maru was aware this was one of the elite Haza High School soccer team. Maru shook the boy's hand and declared, "I want to join," but due to his weight, the blonde boy was not able to lift him up. The boy giggled and continued, "With that body, how are you going to pass the tryouts?" The boy with glasses, observing the scene, smiled, wondering how incredible it all was. The action moves to a school corridor where a boy is yelling loudly, calling Jinho. Hot news, Jinho, inside the classroom with a stack of things, was surprised by the noise. He motioned for the boy to be quiet. Standing beside him was a rough-looking boy, insisting, "Give me that bread." Glasses boy asserted, "It's a big deal." Even after warming up for the soccer team tryouts, Jinho's mouth went agape as he inquired, "What, how can this be?" The two immediately hastened out of class to verify the situation. With tears streaming down his face, Jinho burst out to Kong Maru, "Amazing, finally you did it, you were a real man." Jinho remembered the past when both of them were teased by a thug who insisted they purchase pizza. The bully screamed, "Get on with it, I am starving, be gone, otherwise, you'll be next too." Before he was able to conclude his threat, a pizza hurled itself into his face. Then, a hand with a carton of milk pushed it into his mouth, telling him, "Watch out not to choke, drink." Thanks to this, Jinho and Maru were saved from the thug. They knew Maru spent all his life as a gopher, but on that day, the super gopher of the school, Kong Maru, saved them. They respected him, probably because the three of them had the same destiny. They quickly became close friends. Maru loved soccer so much, whenever he got a chance, he would get out his ball and practice, despite no one requesting that he do so. Daily, he found time to play soccer with the other guys, or rather, to be the ball boy. He never skipped a single day. But one day, Maru was given a severe beating. He had taken a brief break while serving as the ball boy and kicked the ball back onto the field to bring it back in a hurry. But, which was usual, the ball hit a tree and landed on the roof. Because of that, he was penalized with a harsh beating by the field players. Jinho shook Maru's shoulder, saying, "Are you stupid? Why do you continue to torment yourself like that? It is of no concern if you are the ball boy or whatever, but this is too much." Maru remembered how he was left behind by his own friends, having no companion to play with, spending his days isolated in the gym with no one paying attention to him. Jinho just continued to ask him, "Why do you insist on putting yourself through this? Why do you have such an obsession with soccer?" Tears started to form in Maru's eyes as he answered, "You know why." But Jinho did not comprehend. Maru yelled, "If I don't just keep doing this, those guys will never pay attention to me, if I ever get to play soccer." Maru recalled how every time he pursued the ball, it gave him great pleasure. His battered body only made him more determined. Maru wept, "First, I must be the ball boy, or nobody will ever recognize me." From that day on, Maru was the hero of the underdogs. They were always behind him, encouraging him, "If you continue, we will continue to support you," they told him, unable to withstand his spirit. Maru, with his face tear-streaked, his heart full of emotion, held up a snack and showed them his determination. "Thanks, guys, you have given dignity back to all of us losers." The two friends encouraged Maru on loudly, telling him, "Thanks for carrying all this on your shoulders for so long, go out there and show us what you truly desire." Kong Maru. Maru was now unable to see properly in front of him. Emotionally overwhelmed, tears fogged his glasses, but he remained rigid, holding his snack firmly. One of his friends jokingly took the snack away from him, and so Maru's training for the soccer tryouts at Haza High School began. In the first-year tryouts, the teams were separated, one team for the red team and the other for the yellow team. The team captain explained to all of them, "Do not worry so much, relax and let out your true capabilities. There's enough water available, so you can drink whatever you want." But then he stopped when he noticed Kong Maru coming over to collect his jersey. Park Cha-dan, the ex-manager, inquired, "Maru, did you come to register as the new manager? Then you don't have to take off the jersey." Maru, who was embarrassed, employed his loser powers and stuttered, "No, it's not like that, I didn't come for the manager." At exactly that moment, Shin Ji-woo approached him from afar and said, "I support him, give him the jersey." Wishingly, reluctantly, the manager handed Maru the uniform, still uncertain, "With this body, out on the pitch, he should be the manager, my stomach said so." The manager growled, "No, not my gut, just truth." The captain himself couldn't fathom Shin Ji-woo's intent. Shin Ji-woo just snapped coolly back at him, "You'll soon enough." The yellow group gathered, and an orange-haired member stood up and said, "I arrived first, so I've been appointed captain. As we're all newcomers, I just wanted to say this, please show off your skills, but don't monopolize the ball. If we cooperate, we can make our talents shine brighter, so let's stick together. Even if we don't pass the tryouts, we'll still be teammates." On hearing this inspiring speech, Kong Maru was immensely motivated. The entire team screamed in unison, "Let's win." Maru, filled with confidence, thought, "It'll be alright, this is only a trial to test our skills. If I fail, I won't be able to play for the soccer team, the losing side will be sent home, but the top players will remain." This was the survival battlefield, and all the players on the field knew they had to remain cool-headed and make intelligent decisions. All except Kong Maru. Maru was just thrilled at the prospect of actually playing soccer. "I need to cool down," he thought, "I shouldn't get too hyped. I need to concentrate in order to deliver my best." The game commenced, the yellow team receiving the initial possession. The ball was rolled over to a player who appeared exorbitantly confident. But from nowhere, a plump figure ran toward him, face totally beaming with enthusiasm, employing all his might in a sprint. This made the crowd bewildered and demoralized. Even Maru's two companions, who were on the sidelines, didn't really know what was going on, but they still kept on cheering him on. "Relax, Maru, now you've got everyone's attention." Maru was cool in his own right. As Kong Maru closed in on the ball, it was quickly kicked away. They began to play keep away from our plump hero, flailing Maru around after the ball without success. Maru sprinted furiously, but he couldn't catch up, getting so upset that he was essentially seething with rage. He was convinced that he was going to pull something off magnificent. But what happened is that he vomited after only 15 seconds of the game having started. The yellow team, observing this, accepted their fate, believing, "Okay, now we have 10 players left." At the same time, the ball was distributed to the middle of the field, and they spotted an empty space behind the defense. The captain of the yellow team yelled at his men to stand firm, stay sharp, and press their opponents tightly. The players of the yellow team immediately pressed the orange team. Restricting their movement, Kong Maru, panting for air, rushed back to the right wing. The number 10 of the orange team was then blocked at that time. Therefore, he swung his leg in order to switch the ball to the other side. The captain of the yellow team noticed what was occurring and shouted, "Beware on the other side." For whatever reason, Kong Maru got the call confused. He heard what he thought was Korean pancake, because the words to him sounded identical. The ball was lofted instantly in the direction of the orange team's number 7. The yellow team defender hurried in immediately to challenge the ball. Both players leaped high into the air, each refusing to yield. The yellow team player timed it just right, heading the ball cleanly. There was no foul signaled by the referee and play was allowed to resume. The yellow team's captain yelled, "Push and score," while Kong Maru ran back to defend. He needed to run forward once again when his team took back the possession. And then, immediately they lost the ball, he had to run back. The endless back and forth running left Kong Maru's head spinning. Eventually, he was gasping for air, his legs trembling, and his arms limp. Maru felt he couldn't continue any longer. His left leg stumbled over his right foot. And he landed flat on the ground. Having never played in an actual soccer game before, Maru was fast learning that playing was a lot more difficult than he had envisioned. Kong Maru had become smitten with soccer when he watched the players on television. Their dazzling kicks and goals. But he hadn't realized the incredible effort, sweat, and hard work that went into creating those miraculous moments. He was just too tired. And the worst part was that he hadn't even laid hands on the ball yet. Now covered in sweat, Kong Maru was totally exhausted. While the yellow team was mounting a counterattack to Maru's position, his two friends cried out, "Kong Maru, this is your opportunity. Do it! Do it! Show them what you're capable of." At their encouragement, Maru stood up at once and ran to the left wing, which was standing ajar with defenders. He flagged his number 7 forward from his team to kick him the ball. But he didn't have time as his teammate glanced quickly his way barely. Rather, the forward swayed like he was about to pass to Maru, to reverse and drive towards the right. The player of the yellow team moved sharply, dribbling the ball to the right wing and setting up for a shot. But before he could shoot, a player from the orange team intercepted the ball, sending it sailing backward. The ball rolled across the sideline, giving the yellow team a corner kick. The two friends on the sidelines were angry. That guy had assumed passing to Maru would be more effective for scoring. But that was not an open space in the defense. They left him open on purpose to lure in a pass, believing Maru would not be a threat to the game. The opposing team as well as Maru's own were leaving him totally out. Maru couldn't take it anymore. But he knew he needed to gain the trust of his teammates. His objective now was to demonstrate his full potential on the field. But even with more plays given, Maru was helpless. Irrespective of how diligently he tried, his physical handicap was too much. Eventually, passion was not enough to overcome those limitations. But at last, the ball rebounded towards Maru, enthusiastic. He ran after it, not wanting to lose it. This time, unexpectedly, a yellow team player came running towards him. They bumped into each other with both players colliding and blood oozing from their noses. Meanwhile, the ball rolled in the direction of the other team. The orange team took advantage. The chance to make a perilous counterattack. The red-headed player was furious. "You piece of crap. What in the world are you doing? If you're going to lose, take it for yourself. You're just a ball boy. Why are you even on the field ruining it for us? If you have any integrity left, stop acting the fool and get out of here. You need to make space for others to win." Maru, getting crushed, thought he's correct. "I've been worthless since the beginning. No one requires someone like me. I've just been obstinate, refusing to see it, but the second I do see it, I will never be anybody. That's why I've been working so hard, even if it's just as a ball boy or as a golfer. I've done everything I could just for one opportunity to touch the ball. If I'm granted even one chance, I'd know that I could prove myself and be a success. But perhaps it might be best that I never was given that opportunity. Then I could blame everybody, blame the world, and even turn on my own belief. Why am I even attempting so hard knowing it's futile? Why am I running towards something I'd never be able to attain?" A flurry of questions whirled in Kong Maru's head until out of the blue a piercing scream brought him back to the world. "Wake up! Kong Maru, the ball hasn't crossed out of bounds yet. You must keep it on court before it's too late. This is the one thing you're good at." Hearing the words, the thing you're good at struck a chord in Maru, waking him up. He realized that ball retrieval was the one thing he'd truly excelled at. Remembering his days as a ball boy, Maru thought of the countless times he'd beaten everyone to the ball with his quick reflexes. Though he was chubby, his two friends could never outpace him when it came to picking up the ball. They had often asked, "How do you always get to the ball before us? Even though you're bigger, it's like you know exactly where the ball will go." Maru had always humbly replied, "I don't have any superpowers or anything." Before anyone could finish speaking, Maru's instincts kicked in. He could sense it every time he delayed. The ball would roll even further away. At that point, his two friends stood up, yelling in tandem, "Go Kong!" Maru without hesitation, Maru rushed towards the ball, taking off like a sprinter, pursuing it. The ball had already rolled to the middle of the field, but the players of the orange team were not going to let Maru get it so easily. Maru jumped with every ounce of strength he had and was able to block the ball from going out of bounds. The referee waved his flag to indicate that the ball was still in play and the game went on. Two orange team players were now advancing towards Kong Maru. At the same time, the yellow team captain and Shin Ji-yu realized that something was not right with Maru's positioning. "Why is he dribbling so far up the field?" they asked. "Doesn't he know he's going to be offside?" the captain inquired, confused. Shin Ji-yu, however, smiled, curious about what was happening. Maru's two friends, tears running down their cheeks, cheered, "He's done it. I knew you could do it, you idiot." But there were two defenders closing in on Maru, and he was beginning to tire. Now Maru was being closely marked by the two players from the orange team. His eyes went out of focus, and he paused to breathe in. Then suddenly, Maru struck the ball ahead. Nobody thought anything, that he had just kicked it haphazardly out of pressure, but the yellow team captain and Shin-gu realized something suddenly. The player with the orange hair on the yellow team witnessed the play and ran immediately forward. The crowd was confused. If Maru had deliberately passed to the wingback, pouncing on Maru's quick thinking, the wingback dribbled up, taking the opportunity. The captain was stunned. Maru definitely did not have time to look around him, he believed. Now the wingback was surrounded by defenders, and Maru ran towards the vacant space in front. Noticing Maru in a good position, the wingback rapidly passed the ball to him. Maru's two friends shouted, "Beware, Maru, there are defenders behind you. You won't be able to make it in time." But to everyone's surprise, Maru rapidly turned his head, a move special to him. To Maru, who had always been at the receiving end of being bullied, he had gained an acute sense of danger that was surrounding him. He was always on guard, knowing that any second now, someone was going to use his head as a baseball and slam something over it. Anytime the bullies were hungry, they would be thugs that would always pick on Maru's group. Due to that, Maru had learned to always be looking around him so as not to get attacked. He was always alert, observing everyone, checking all directions. That his skill came in useful on the soccer pitch. As Maru drew close to the ball, he would drop down suddenly, allowing it to roll through his legs. The two orange team defenders were there in amazement as the balls passed through them. It wasn't only the enemies who were surprised. Shin Ji-yu, observing from the sidelines, was just as surprised. Maru's action was totally unexpected. Not only did the opposing players fused, but even Maru's own teammates were unable to comprehend. How did that idiot know I was behind him? One of his teammates thought to himself. The two central defenders of the orange team were tricked, and they rushed in quickly to win the ball back. They pressed closely on Maru, and he could not shoot. Shin Ji-yu, who was watching from outside the field, knew that this was a fatal error. If they continue to keep an eye on the ball only, they'll lose sight of the game. He believed that one of the orange team's players was quick enough to see the space between the two defenders. At that moment, he saw Maru, whose eyes appeared to say, "Pass the ball to me." The player did not think twice, and passed the ball straight into that empty space. With that, the whole defense was made useless. Maru took the ball in with a crisp first touch and had himself one-on-one with the goalkeeper off the field. Nobody was asking why Sunho was not on the field yet. After all, he was regarded as a genius in the soccer team. The captain grumbled, who would have thought that lad's a football genius, having the look Sunho had rolled up to the field on his scooter, texting on his phone. He sidled up until he was literally bumping heads with the captain of the team, but Sunho didn't even flinch, walking directly past him, saying nothing. Lastly, he went up to the captain and asked, "Can I play now?" The captain, who was tired of his antics, said, "There's only 5 minutes left." Sunho offered the captain his phone and said, "5 minutes is more than enough. Substitute one of the losing players with me." The captain inquired, "Why are you offering me your phone?" Not to realize Sunho was in the middle of a game. By then, Sunho had already changed into his uniform. This was the mythical top scorer, Jeong Sunho, who confidently boasted, "I'll be back once my game finishes downloading." Who would have known that Haza High School would possess a soccer prodigy like him? The referee suddenly ordered a substitution. The captain ordered the retrieval of Kong Maru from the field. Maru, perplexed, wished they were calling him for real. "Of course, we are calling you. Who else would we call?" His two friends were enraged and said, "Maru's opportunity has been robbed once again. It's all finished." Still, Shin Ji-yu was interested in witnessing more of Maru's performance. Just at that time, one of the players limped onto the field, injured. "I believe I twisted my ankle. I am unable to continue." The player exclaimed, "Shin Ji. You and Sunho were thrilled, crying, 'Really great. We don't need injured players here. Kong Maru, remain on the field. Continue playing. I haven't seen all of your talents yet, so now is not the time to stop. Exclaimed Shinji, Yumaru in amazement that he wasn't coming out. Was also completely spent. Sunho came over, patting him on the back, and told him just to keep playing. Why are you talking so much? There isn't much time left. Let's try to score 4 goals. There are only 4 minutes and 52 seconds remaining. Everyone around started whispering, isn't that Jong Sunho, the one who crushed the competition at the National High School Soccer Championship and won MVP? Why does someone like him still have to go through tryouts? Some laughed. MVP must have paid someone off to receive that title, but their laughter soon turned into nervous silence when Jong Sunho stood next to them. Having overheard everything, he just smiled coldly. The referee whistled, and the game began. The goalkeeper took a strong kick that directed the ball towards the middle of the field. 2 players from each team leaped to fight for the ball, but the opposing player outwon the duel and passed it to his teammate. The red-headed player on the opposing team took the ball smoothly, pausing to look at the field while remembering what Sunho had told him before. If any of you receive the ball, pass it to me right away. Although no one comprehended at first, Sunho had reiterated, if you wish to win, just do as I say. Sunho rushed towards the red-haired player and told him, pass the ball to me. What's your problem? The red-haired player was irritated and spewed out, you bastard. See if you can make something out of it with a defender on your tail. You won't succeed and have another go, but the match is already lost. Sunho just turned his back against the defender who was applying pressure on him. He bent his knees and moved his weight forward. The defender of the orange team sneered, why should I be afraid of you? Just because you're famous, I already know where you'll kick the ball. Sunho was aware that, being a forward with possession, the toughest part was steering the attack in the opposite direction when the defender had no idea in which direction you would advance next, and if your body went slightly in the direction of the center, it practically guaranteed that you would attack down the middle. The orange team's defender thought he had it guessed and jumped in, shouting, gotcha. But just then, Sunho took the ball back with a soft elegant, totally deceiving the defender. It was a beautiful move, pasting the first challenge, but another defender dashed in to assist. Sunho expertly took the ball back with the instep of his shoe, then pushed it forward again with smooth finesse, avoiding the next opponent. The moment he moved past, others would stand in front of him, each determined to block his path. One defender yelled, you won't pass our defense. Sunho, bending his knees, lowered his center of gravity once again. The defender of the orange team felt nervous, although he knew it was another fake. His body reacted by instinct, drawn in by this movement this time, but the defender was intent on not getting fooled and slid in to take him down. Sunho was waiting for that. He let the defender use his leg to redirect the direction of the ball. Shin Ji-yu, who sat on the bench, was amazed. He is not only direct in his movement, but totally intelligent. He fooled the whole defense with that deception, then instantly passed the ball in the other direction. Having the capability to make such split-second decisions was what allowed him to get away even when defenders caught on to the fact that it was a deception. Sunho was also incredibly fast. Unless the ball went into the net, nobody could take it away from him. The captain of the team, stroking his chin, wondered, what were those guys saying again? In the meantime, Sunho kept showing his remarkable skills on the ground. The orange team was panicking. One of the players yelled, he's too deep. Foul him if you must, just cut him off now. Another orange team player encouraged, remain calm, but whatever you do, don't let him through. Sunho then kicked the ball into a gap where nobody was standing. The orange player did not even get time to think before Sunho rushed forward. He cut quickly and stated, even if you play forward with the ball, you won't be able to move forward from here. But Sunho slithered past him like a snake, moving so quickly that the orange player couldn't respond in time and fell to the ground, thinking too fast. In no time, Sunho was one-on-one with the goalkeeper. The goalie rushed forward, believing the angle was too tight for Sunho to score and not knowing which side he was going to shoot at, but Sunho calmly lofted the ball over him. The keeper stretched out his arm in desperation, but it was too late. The ball went into the net. Then the captain recalled someone's words one time, one player can decide the whole game with only 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Sunho appeared to be contented. All were perplexed. What was he going to do with only 3 minutes and 16 seconds left? Still, Sunho played so frighteningly well that it was inevitable that he would score. The score was 3-2 now. Sunho took another shot, bringing the game level at 3-3 in 3 minutes, with 3 goals scored. The red-haired player, who had previously been doubtful, immediately changed his tone and stated, of course, I knew you could do it. But Sunho ignored him totally. With just 42 seconds left, the orange team chose not to take any more risks. They parked the bus. To park the bus is a description of when a team creates 2 solid lines of defense in front of the goal, similar to a parked bus, and creates an almost impossible barrier to get through. Sunho had the ball once more, but this time he faced 3 defenders. The orange team defenders yelled, "Forget the others. Just stop Sunho from shooting block all the ways to the goal. Regardless of how skillful your skill is, you can't penetrate a parked bus defense." One of the defenders smirked with his defenders completely committed to defending the goal. Sunho groaned, catching himself for having boasted too much earlier, but this had already been part of his game plan prior to it. Sunho had instructed everyone, "If you receive the ball, pass it to me right away. If you wish to win, just follow me." In retrospect, those instructions seemed redundant. One of the orange team players even said, "Don't waste your time marking Maru. He's useless. Just concentrate on stopping." Sunho, upon hearing this, Maru scratched his head awkwardly, feeling embarrassed. Sunho looked on and wondered, "What's happening here? I can't even spot the goal, let alone shoot. My teammates are tired, or have they lost the will to play? They are not even making an effort to run into space anymore." He soon realized, "I am never going to be able to get the ball past these defenders. There are 2 or 3 of them in front of me. Even when I attempt to run around them, they will just mob me and steal the ball. What can I do? There isn't much time left, and I must come up with some way to score quickly." Then out of the corner of his eye, Sunho saw Kong Maru frozen like a statue. Aha, the same old trick, he thought. Sunho lowered his center of gravity, then pushed the ball with his left foot and was ready to strike with his right. Seeing this, the orange team instantly created a defensive wall. "He doesn't have an angle to shoot. Just remain calm." They comforted each other. Sunho psychically yelled, "Stay still, my goalpost." He then kicked the ball directly at Maru's face. Caught off guard, Maru had no time to duck. When he opened his eyes, the ball was already inches from him. The collision struck Maru right in the face, sending his glasses flying. Maru had actually scored with his face, much to everyone's shock. Nobody had expected Maru to score in this manner. After being hit in the face by a ball, it is not hard to imagine how shocked his 2 companions were. Even the captain of the team was shocked, whereas Shin-ji-yu remained standing smiling peacefully. At the same time, Sunho smiled victoriously. Then the referee blew the last whistle, the result 4-3. The yellow team had won. Shin-ji-yu got up and said, "You all did very well. The players who got through today are back right here: Hyo Dong-kai, left back; Jang Yun-sip, center back; Choi Dong-hun, striker; Kim Dong-hun, midfielder; Gu Ji-angwon, goalkeeper; Wang Ki-sung, center back; Lee Kyung-do, striker; Won Oh-chun and midfielder; Jin Sung-nam, the topmost striker is, of course, Jong Sun-ho, and the last but not the least, Kumar are you?" Maru was totally stunned at that point. Sunho turned away and said, "I'll say it again. The ones who passed go sign up with the soccer team." The addition of Maru stirred up a lot of controversy among the players. It's absurd that he passed the tryout. People grumbled. The red-headed player swore. "This is so unjust, that guy nearly caused us to lose." This was Kong Min-chun, one. The non-passer players. "You'll regret this. Kong Maru, I won't accept it," he growled, tightening his fists. Just then, Maru's 2 buddies from the bullied clique ran over, shouting, "We knew you'd make it, Maru. You're so cool." They wished to lift him up in celebration, but with Maru's bulk, that was out of the question. But they didn't give up, and pulled with all their might to lift him up. Back in the classroom. The school day had just finished. The teacher reminded everyone, "That's all for today's class. Study what we learned? Okay, remember, you can't learn on an empty stomach." This was Nam Hazim, homeroom teacher of class 2 year 1. At hearing those words, Maru suddenly felt goosebumps. The teacher then called out, "Kong Maru, come with me to the staff room." The bully charged over as Maru started to move away, inquiring, "What's going on, Kong Maru? What did you do this time? Loser?" Maru rubbed his head unhappily and replied, "It's nothing. Don't worry." The bully remained unsatisfied, inquiring again, "Really, you're sure?" When Maru denied, the bully breathed a sigh of relief, exclaiming, "Good to hear." In the staff room, Maru narrated his tale to the teacher. The teacher, unfazed, said, "You're playing soccer, eh?" He proceeded to grab a baseball bat and tell, "Lie down, Maru, prepare to be punished." "You are joking. How are you going to play soccer with that obese body of yours?" The instructor went on, "Do you think it's easy to play soccer? It requires a lot of time and commitment. You're only a first-year student, and you're already thinking of playing soccer. What are you thinking? Do you realize how crucial your first year is? If your grades drop because of this foolishness, what am I going to do? Do you think playing around with a ball will make you cooler than being a scholar?" When the teacher uttered those bitter words, Kong Maru unexpectedly burst into laughter, leaving the teacher perplexed. "You still have the nerve to laugh?" the teacher inquired. Obviously irritated, Maru boasted proudly, "But sir, I'm already on the lowest rung of the class rankings. How much lower could I get?" The teacher exasperated. shot back, you consider that something to be proud of, don't you? Haha, laugh all you can, but you're still a failure. You're so busy studying and all that, but have you ever even managed to get the answers correct? You're always dressed so neatly and looking like such a model student, but you never succeed. Maru protested, my glasses aren't decorative. You know, isn't everything like this just bias? The teacher replied, it doesn't matter if you succeed or fail. As a teacher, my duty is to guide students towards their aspirations, but my duty is also to steer them when they're going in the wrong direction. Maru, a little more sober now, asked, have you ever done something you regretted in your life, sir? Because I used to attempt to play soccer by myself because nobody wanted to play with me. But now, for the first time, I have the ability to guide my own life. I am not going to let this chance get away from me, no matter what you consider me. Maru yelled, I love soccer, that is why I just had to play. He sprinted out of the room, closing the door behind him, leaving the teacher speechless as he strode away. Infuriated, Maru believed, I cannot miss this opportunity. Soccer is my life. No one can deprive me of this passion. But Maru's euphoria was short-lived. Shin Ji-yu walked over to him and told him, sorry, but you've been cut heartbroken. Maru fell to the floor. I said so, it's over. I even fought with the teacher to arrive. Soccer is my life. Shin Ji-yu let out a deep sigh, telling that the entire team voted against you. Me, I just think you're a bit overweight, but they don't. I'm really sorry, but perhaps next time. He held out his hand in apology. Maru, not being able to accept reality, cried out, this is not occurring. Why is this occurring? Defeated, Maru went home during the declining light of the late afternoon, reliving the words of the teacher, you'll never play soccer. And then he recalled Shin Gusai, mentioning that the team does not desire you. It struck Maru that no one believed in him. Why is it that nobody gets it, that if I work hard, I will become better, he was thinking to himself. Just at that moment, Shin Ji-yu materialized, suddenly shocking. Maru. Shin Ji-yu strode by him and told him, I'm giving you a month, lose weight. Maru, perplexed, asked, what do you mean? Shin Ji-yu went on, if you want me to vouch for you for the team, you need to get rid of the extra weight. Only when you lose that fat will your real talent be apparent. Who'd think you're a soccer player with that body? At last, realizing, Maru decided to undertake a drastic diet. Firm in fact. He went to a food store. As he entered, the attendant at the counter was preoccupied playing with their phone. We're closed, sir, said the worker, not even bothering to look up. You should have arrived when we were open. It's too late now. Before she was able to complete her statement, she recognized the friendly face standing in front of her. It was none other than Kojuna, a first-year student at Haza High School, who was beyond thrilled. Juna also yelled Kong Maru at the same time. Juna's mom also cried out, what Kong Maru? The one that eats as much as we sell in a whole day. That Kong Maru, upon seeing him, felt as though they had struck gold. They gladly said that business had not been doing well of late, so they were overjoyed to have him with them. Juna, smiling cheerfully, said, just sit back and relax. Oh, I mean Kong Maru, not ATM. Her mom cheerfully ran into the back saying, hold on, I'll bring out the dishes you love, embarrassed by their hospitality. Maru's face turned red. Juana then whispered, I've been secretly drawing comics. You know, what do you think they're about? Soccer? So I wanted your opinion. Just as she said that, her mom returned and overheard yelling, comics? What comics? Juna hastily drew out a bottle of mana, responding, no, mom, it's merely mana potions, not comics. Observe, in Korean, mana and comics are pronounced rather similarly. Juna gestured to Maru to hold his tongue while her mother continued muttering, don't you have better things to do than spend your time on those? Soon, a meal spread on the table before Maru made him salivate, looking slightly embarrassed. Maru welcomed everyone to come and eat with him. Then he unleashed his secret talent, eating like lightning. Kong Maru's consuming of paste was unparalleled, and the two next to him couldn't help but stare in awe, assuming he had to be starving. Finishing a stack of food, Maru finally set down his chopsticks, shocking the two of them. Maru paused, then stuttered, I don't think I'll be coming here for a while. Juna's mom, shocked, slapped her hand on the table and cried out, what? What am I going to do with all this food that I'll have left over? But determined Maru apologized and said, I'm sorry, and took off running. Wait, you haven't paid yet. They yelled. He rapidly yelled back, I'm sorry, but I have to lose weight. But the two didn't catch what his excuse was, and promptly called the police, accusing him of leaving without paying the bill as Kong Maru took off running. Tears flowed down his face. It's just a diet. Keep going. Kong Maru, he urged himself. Later, Maru went home to find his family with a barbecue party. Today's special, beef, his favorite, even after he had already eaten. Seeing beef made him salivate once more, but he turned around, saying, I'm not hungry. Thanks. Maru was resolute he couldn't eat anymore. He was forced to keep on his diet for his soccer dream. When Maru attempted to exit, he heard his grandma call to him, "Come here and eat." "Come here and eat," said she, waving her hand at him. Maru hesitated, thinking I will get on her bad side if I don't eat. How much longer is grandma going to be around? Shouldn't I eat with her while she's still here? But fighting, he thought, am I going to just ignore her hearing his grandmother's words? Kong? Maru couldn't keep back his tears. He turned around and started wolfing down the beef entirely, forgetting about his soccer aspirations. The family dined late into the night, until Maru finally cried out, "I can't eat anymore, Grandma." But she just encouraged him to go on, saying, "Just keep eating." Within the day, Maru had added 10 kilograms. Now he was just a pig in school attire in. Shinji-yu was the first to notice this and shook his head in awe, unable to believe what he was witnessing. A cruel-hearted classmate approached and said, "Wasn't that pig due to be cut from the team?" The redhead student replied, "He wasn't cut." The dark-haired one also spoke up. Shinji-yu said, "He'll accept him into the team if he can lose some weight. If he manages it, he'll be on the soccer team." Min Shul, who had overheard all this, was seething with anger. "I have to go through humiliation due to that hog," he grumbled to himself. In the meantime, Maru's two friends were sleeping comfortably, even intending to sleep. One of them, Jinji-yu, turned to the other and said, "Do you even know where we are right now?" His friend answered, "Of course I do. But why does it feel like I'm lying on a soft bed?" In a twist of fate, they were both lying on Maru's stomach. Shocked, they asked, "How did you end up like this in just one day? Didn't you tell me that you had to lose weight in order to make the soccer team?" Maru woke up abruptly out of his daydream, and cried out, "You are right." He got up still, muttering to himself about dieting and how he had to adhere to it, gliding like a spirit. Maru muttered, "If I am going to lose weight, then I must be active. I must eat in order to have energy in order to lose weight." His two friends hastened to intervene, shouting, "Are you mad? Is this how you are going to transform yourself? Are you seriously going to waste your opportunity over this diet?" While the drama unfolded, the entire class began to buzz. At that moment, the school bully arrived and inquired, "What's with Kong Maru here?" With a starved expression in his eyes, he continued, "Hey, Maru, did you bring something to eat for me today? I'm starving for some pizza bread." Despite Maru's pale and bruised face, he silently clutched the bread he had brought. The bully drooled, inquiring, "You brought this for me, yes? May I have it?" But in the very next second, Maru firmly snatched the bread away from the bully's grasp. This made the bully's face darken with rage. Still grasping the bread, Maru muttered, "This is Maru's bread." Looking at this, Maru's two friends were even more worried and tried to soothe him. The bully, enraged now, yelled, "What's wrong with you? Maru, you've never turned me down before, not even once. Are you not listening to me? My eyes are not broken. I can see that something is wrong with you at this." Maru's two friends told the bully the entire story. When the bully heard the tale, his face became blank, bewildered by the entire experience. In a desperate attempt, the group bound Maru with rope. All three of them collaborated to bind Maru and impose his strict diet. Two of them meant well, because they wanted to help their friend diet, whereas the bully just wished to get Maru's food for himself. When this was heard by the bully's friends, they started telling him that Kong Maru was attempting to diet. One of them explained, "But the more he resists, the more he'll eat. He has already gained 10 kilos. Tears filled the bully's eyes as he answered, "It hurts, but that's the only way he can achieve his dreams. Kong Maru." Then they began to share Maru's food among themselves, saying, "Let's eat everything. It's likely the last time we'll manage to get to." At that very instant, the red-haired boy and his crew burst in, kicking the door open as Kong Maru's friends were still eating his food. The red-haired boy adopted a tough demeanor and uttered, "Hey, nice to see you, you dumb pig." The bully straight away stood up, demanding, "What are you guys doing here? What do you think you're going to do to my Kong Maru?" Two other bullies from the red-haired kid's gang grabbed him before he could get out another word, saying, "We don't care if you're his friend or what you're going down." They pulled the bully away, and the red-haired kid was left standing alone with Kong Maru. He leaned forward and sneered, "Do you have any idea how humiliated I was today? I was a soccer star from kindergarten, but now I'm cut from the team and you an obese pig. Got in. Does that sound fair to you?" He jerked Maru's hair and grinned. "I have something special for you today. Hold on and bear it. Want to guess what?" He slowly drew something out of his bag. "It's a chocolate sandwich the size of a house filled with strawberry-filled calories just for you," he said jokingly. As if that wasn't sufficient, he stated, "Oh, and as a special bonus, a huge grapefruit tea to drink it all down. You're dieting, aren't you? Well, go ahead and eat." Maru, with his ravenous hunger, couldn't stand it anymore. The redhead child laughed evilly. "Let's see how that diet works out for you." Maru's two friends were angry, but powerlessness. They couldn't do anything, Because Maru succumbed, even they had to say, the chocolate sandwich did taste wonderful with every mouthful. Maru was full. The group was disillusioned. Maru does not have willpower. They believed, regretfully, they realized that if Maru continued eating like this, the tale of his soccer ambitions would be at an end soon. Ever since that day, the red-headed boy took Maru out for meals each and every day, filling him until he was satisfied. Day by day, Maru's stomach. While he dined, and the red-headed kid would woo him, "You're best at what you're doing when you're eating, Maru." Even though Maru liked being flattered, he responded, "You're the first to ever tell me that." It was flattering. Elsewhere, meanwhile, at the Haza High School soccer pitch, Juna was snapping photographs for reference. She told herself not to leave out even the tiniest of details. They train soccer 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and night. What is it like inside, I wonder? She wondered. Looking through her lens, Juna observed that the training field was oddly still. It doesn't look all that lively today. I suppose it would not hurt to get a little bit of shot in? She believed. As she kept on recording, Juna believed the locker room would be dirty and smell of sweat, but it was cleaner and smelled fresher than she anticipated. As she walked around, she glanced at the lockers of the team, noticing how old they appeared. She wondered, have these been here for a very long time? Suddenly, someone knocked on the locker door from the inside. A man came out asking, "What are you doing here?" Juna did not reply, and instead inquired, "What were you doing in there?" The man was Baek Chando, the team manager who had been sorting out the team's equipment, changing to a serious tone. Baek Chando inquired, "Why are you in here? When nobody else is here?" Juna, surprised, struggled to think of a reason before she could open her mouth. Baek Chando snapped his fingers and spoke, "Oh, you're here to apply for the manager job, right? Sorry, I completely forgot." With all the commotion these days, relieved that he had provided her with an easy alibi, Juna let out a sigh of relief, grateful to have been let off the hook so lightly. Baek Chando afterwards took out some forms and exclaimed, "You do not need to participate in everything, but still, you receive participation points. You can even miss school a little, not a lot, but still it is as good as getting a scholarship." He gave her an application form and told her to fill it in. Not waiting for an answer, he proceeded, "Come here so that I can give you the schedule." Juna requested a pen and paper and told him, "Let me jot down something, nothing important." It happened that what she wrote was a message stating the team is no longer recruiting, simply to ensure no other girls would apply for a job. Then Baek Chando took Juna to the duties of a team manager, taking her to the equipment storage room. She took careful notes as he explained everything in detail. When they were done, Baek Chando glanced at the clock and told them, "It's time." The door then swung open, and the red-headed man came running in, gasping for breath. Both Juna and Baek Chando were lost in the sight, particularly when they found out that he had Kong Maru on his back. Juna was surprised to discover that Maru was included among the soccer team members. The red-haired man dropped off Maru and said, "When you're finished, call me prior to rushing off again." Maru greeted them awkwardly, flushing when he caught sight of Juna being shocked. Juna asked, "Wait, so Maru this?" Maru is one of the team's soccer players. Maru, too shy to answer, looked at the manager and asked, "Why did you bring me in here?" Baek Chando replied flippantly, "Nothing much. Do you have your application form?" Maru soon pulled out a form from his backpack and gave it to him. Baek Chando said, explaining, "The qualifiers for the national soccer tournament are soon, so I need to formally put you on the team. I've heard that if you manage to lose weight, you'll be placed on the roster, right?" Baek Chando grinned and said, "I believe in you, Maru, which is why I enrolled you in the tournament." But at the time, nothing was on the mind of Kong Maru except for fast food. The manager stared at him and commented, "Don't you think you've grown too much?" He then pointed to a jersey with the number 18, already bearing Maru's name, and said, "That's the jersey you have to wear." Maru gazed at the 18 jersey number in surprise. The manager then turned to Juna and said, "If anything happens, I'll let you know." Subsequently, the two left together. Juna smiled and said, "So you're a soccer player, huh? You don't quite look the part." Embarrassed. Maru grumbled, "Yeah, I think so too." His face became a bright red as he thought, Juna is the team manager. I had to come with the team regardless. At that moment, Juna seemed to recall something. She then suddenly took Maru's hand, which only made him even more agitated. She pulled him towards a bench along the road and told him, "Sit with me for a while." She dug in her bag and told him, "Wait a sec." "Okay." Upon hearing this, Maru immediately went into serious mode, sitting stock still like a statue, though he had no clue what Juna was going to do. A moment later, Juna turned Maru around to face her and instructed, "Just sit still and look at me." She took out a pencil and squinted one eye as if taking his measurements. Then she began to draw, instructing him not to move. "I told you before, remember, I draw comics," she said. The novel starts with a chubby boy who loves football, attempting to transform himself in order to enhance his football playing skills. When he finally loses weight, whether or not he'll be handsome, is it possible? I pictured the character as you prior to him becoming handsome. He is down to earth due to you. Juna's words seemed like a gentle breeze to Maru, easing his soul. Perhaps this would be incentive enough to get him to actually keep his diet and lose weight at last. At the snack shop, meanwhile, the red-headed man was cooking up food to take to Maru. He clearly enjoyed this activity, and when he had everything ready, he went eagerly off with it. Maru exclaiming, "Why haven't you visited me yet? You must be famished by now." He boastfully added, "I got all this from a very well-known shop. You should eat it. It tastes great." But unlike the red-haired man's excitement, Maru pushed the food on the ground and assertively said, "I'm not going to eat this." Action surprised Maru's two best friends, but the most shocked person was the red-haired man gritting his teeth. He asked, "What's wrong with you?" Maru slowly, but with resolve, replied, I need to lose weight." His eyes expressed a newfound determination as he was speaking, and his words only served to enrage the red-haired man further. One of his thugs couldn't restrain himself any longer, running up and kicking Maru, shouting, "How dare you seeing this?" Maru's two friends, increasingly alarmed, but helpless. The red-headed dude, still pissed off, just kept asking, "Maru, are you going to turn down such a fantastic meal?" But Maru already collapsed on the ground, motionless. The other bully pulled forward, grumpy, repeating, "We bothered to get you all this stuff to eat and you're gonna just say no? Is that all? Do you want a beating without waiting for an answer?" He slapped Maru hard on the face and yelled, "Are you going to eat or not?" The red-haired man, still in shock, muttered, "This food is really good. Why would you refuse something so tasty? Or is it not to your taste?" Maru's friends intervened courageously to bring the beating to a halt with the words, "Stop it right now." The red-haired gang became even angrier with this. One of them kicked strongly with his feet while standing in front of the two boys and announcing, "If you want to get through, you'll have to step over my dead body." Sadly, Maru's two weak friends were unable to assist him any longer, and Maru kept receiving the hits defenseless. The bullies were yelling angrily, "You dare not accept the food our boss brought. Haven't received a beating in a while, huh?" Although Maru was in awful pain, he could only stand the beating without resisting. Suddenly, the red-haired leader yelled, "Stop." He glared at Maru and declared, "If that dinner wasn't to your liking, there is only one option, remain here. I'll get you something you can't resist." He yelled this and took off as if a dog were chasing him. In the meantime, poor Maru was on the floor, his face swollen and bruised, but the resolute glint in his eyes did not change throughout school labor time. Juna was scrubbing busily as her part of her job as manager of the soccer team. While she scrubbed, she marveled to herself, "Maru is that fat and still plays soccer? He told me he wouldn't be coming to the store anymore because he's going to lose some weight. I wonder whether he is in earnest." She then suddenly realized something. Froze in awe. She repeated her own line. "The sort of person whom I imagine in my mind grows from a stout boy into an attractive person with whom you go perfectly." It dawned upon Juna that she may have hurt Maru's feelings subconsciously using that line. Two people loomed in large at that exact moment. A person spoke loudly, "Hey, is that Juna?" It ended up being a thug with a rough face. He went on, "So she's the one who was appointed as manager for the soccer team. Ha!" There was a blonde-haired girl standing behind him who sneered and said, "That's her. Teach her a lesson." The crooked-teeth thug grinned and said, "Got it. Let's give her a good lesson." When he said this, the blonde girl asked, "And how are you actually going to make her learn her lesson?" He smiled slowly and said, "Watch this here, right now. I'm going to declare my love for her in front of everyone at school, under candlelight." He laughed in such a manner as to make him appear even more absurd. Spectators, anticipating some drama, began clapping and cheering say yes, Juna. Confronted with this ridiculous predicament, Juna could only make a face of total disbelief, wishing to swear aloud she had no idea why on earth this was transpiring. Extremely embarrassed, Juna considered fleeing, but the thugs, two henchmen, caught hold of her and said, "Where are you off to? Didn't you hear the boss? Just admit to you?" Observing this, the boss grinned even more ruthlessly, telling himself, "If she doesn't take my love, I'll have to instruct her in a different lesson." He then screamed in front of the whole school, ranked 35th, class 4, first year. "Show!" Juna, terrified and enraged, yelled, "Get lost, you crazy pack of lunatics." Yelling, she came up with a plan to make use of his confusion and splashed a bucket of water squarely into his face. The thug was shocked, not a word could escape his lips as water trickled down his face. The space between them became uncomfortably silent, until eventually the thug let out a scream, "Who the hell threw water at me?" It so happened that the one who had spilled the water was the very person named Jiang Sung-ho, one of the soccer club members. He smiled and declared, "I had no idea that you were around." The leader of the gang, enraged, ground his teeth and swore, "You, young hoodlum," in the same tone as a thug in the streets, and he demanded to know, "Do you even know who your dad is?" He kicked the bucket of water out of Sung-ho's hands. Seeing that, Sung-ho jumped through the window right away, radiating a strong energy, and asked, "And who's your father here? Tell me who's the tough guy around here." The gang leader was not one to back down. He fired back at Sung-ho, "I'm the boss of this school. You think you can mess with me now?" Sung-ho stopped for a moment, remaining silent, before he walked away calmly. Sung-ho laughed as he walked, took the bucket and said, "First time meeting. So I was a little taken aback. If it's not too much trouble, let me apologize." This sudden turn left everyone shocked. Juna observing this side in disbelief, seeing an opportunity. The leader of the gang took it a step further, slapping Sung-ho on the head and saying, "Alright, idiot, I'll let you get away this time, because it's a special day. Next time you happen to catch sight of me, you'd better flee." He turned to Juna and grinned smugly, and said, "Now shall we complete what we began?" But before he could move, Sung-ho cut in with a curse, "I've done my best to keep it inside, but you touched my hair." He screamed in anger. "Do you have any idea how much work it is to style my hair daily?" Sung-ho then remembered how he styled his hair in the morning, spraying and styling his hair with utmost care, like a comic strip character. So much work had gone into his hair to look that cool. Angry, Sung-ho bellowed, "You ruined my perfectly styled hair. What do you have to say for yourself? You jerk." In his head, he thought he was cool, but his face was really bruised and battered, so he was more beaten than tough. Seeing this, Juna could not help but erupt into laughter, but she still went to get bandages and disinfectant to treat the wounds as she bandaged him up. June had teased Sung-ho, but also expressed gratitude to him, saying, "Because of you, I no longer have to put up with that annoying guy," still pouting. Sung-ho grumbled, if he weren't bigger than him, he would not be in trouble. Juna smiled and replied, I know, but you still got punched, did you?" As she finished her sentence, Kong Maru arrived. Having the two of them laughing and chatting with each other made Maru's heart drop. They never noticed that he was present without uttering a word. Maru slipped out quietly, slowly closing the door as well. His heart hurt when he said to himself, "The main character is someone like me." The action moves to the soccer field where the coach had been training the players in the drills of the day. He said a few more first-year students were joining the club, so they would be conducting practice matches to try out the new recruits. But then Gon, one of the players, moved forward and took over, saying, "Today we'll be having the normal drills." He then overrode the coach, saying, "Afterwards, we'll be splitting the teams for practice matches." The new players were puzzled why Gon dared to talk to the coach like that. One player asked his friend, "Do you know why?" Curiously, the coach just grinned and uttered, "You're the best, see Gon, and just go and do what you think is proper." After the coach imitated Gon's direction and stated, "Alright, all of you, you heard him. We are going to perform the normal drill today. Warm up now." The new players finally came to know that Gon was the club president's son. Rumor was that he had played for a Bundesliga soccer team in Hamburg, Germany, and even had a pro contract. Hearing this, one of the players appeared stunned and asked, with a background like that, why is he still here? Suddenly, an upperclassman walked over, placed his arm around the two players, and cautioned them, "Stop talking about other people's lives now. Go warm up." This senior was Sim Jin Yui Sr. and the striker of the soccer club's lounge. Another player entered calling out, "Senior Dong Trey, Sim Jin is making us do the same old drills again." He does not even listen to the coach. The action moves to a bus stop where Kong Maru and his two friends, Shin-ho and Shin-ho, were waiting, observing Maru looking down. Shin-ho inquired, "Hey, Maru, are you okay?" Maru said nothing, wordless. As the bus came, Shin-ho and Shin-ho got aboard, inviting Maru to dine with them. But Maru did not move. At last, after insistence, Maru opened his mouth and said, I'll run home instead." Maru began to run, gritting his teeth firmly. He shouted out, "I want to be the main character as well." Shin-ho kept encouraging him from the bus. "You'll be the main character in no time, don't overexert yourself." "All right." He waved his hand out of the bus window, yelling words of encouragement, "Go on, Kong Maru." And so started Kong Maru's weight reduction journey. Meanwhile, Juna was too occupied creating her comic on the frustrations of losing weight and finding inspiration from Maru's own struggles. Time flew by and 1 month had gone by. One day, as Juna was too engrossed in drawing, someone came up to her. She glanced up wearing a big grin and said, "Oh, is that Kong Maru?" Maru, now clearly thinner, shyly responded, "Hi." He gave Juna the key to the soccer club equipment room. Maru blushed when he saw Juna's drawing and said, "That doesn't look like me at all." There was a glimmer of surprise in his eyes, however, as he looked at a drawing of a man wearing a crown. Juna smiled, curious, and asked, "Want to see what I've been drawing?" Maru, attempting to play it cool, spoke, "I really don't look like this." But Juna explained, "This is what I see you as, once you've managed to lose all the weight." She displayed to him a sketch of a dashing young man with piercing eyes, reddish lips, and light brown hair. I really love this light brown for his hair, she went on to add. Maru, surprised, was going to comment when someone hollered him. He said goodbye to Juna hastily and ran away. Juna returned to her drawing in contemplation, understanding how difficult it was to undergo such change. Sometime later, Saigon noticed Maru's leaner build, but still felt something lacked. Yeah, you've lost weight, but you still don't look like a soccer player quite yet. Saigon commented, there's something wrong. You have to work on getting some muscle. Then he handed the bank card to him, leaving Maru puzzled, not knowing what was going on. Then Single chimed in, asking Maru if he was going to play soccer with 2 goals and have something on his face. He then added, hurry up and put on your contact lenses. Later on, he even instructed Maru to get a haircut. Sometimes, Single wasn't able to comprehend what was driving Maru to lose weight, although Maru still went to the barbershop and the soccer field with everyone during the fervent training. A young boy approached one of the seniors and asked, can I ask you something without knowing why? DM asked why the seniors always maintained their distance from each other at breaks. He complained, I don't like this claustrophobic feeling. Why do they always do that? I can't even train adequately due to the intimidating feeling. Minjun, who was in the 2nd year, after hearing this, sighed and said, this is why, honestly, it's hard to explain things to clever children like you. Where do I even begin? A few other kids happened to sit down nearby and were listening to the conversation. Seeing this, Minjun once more let out a sigh and went on, well, you'll have to find out sooner or later. He started detailing the reason behind their actions is that, days of old, there was one principal at Haza High School by the nickname the Tiger during Principal Choisun, Shop's reign. He made many of the parents debtors. He was an unethical and corrupt headmaster who asked outrageous amounts of money from privileged squads such as the soccer team and even the coach. He misused his authority, making them subject themselves to extremely tough training and even committing acts of violence during their practice. He did many deplorable things, beating the players frequently. Many of them wound up quitting the game they loved due to him. Some of the team members did, though, only due to being threatened. That's when Single began to crop up. Later, the principal was fired due to Single, who was the son of the chairman, assuming the role and standing with the puppet coach. He decided to take on the supervisor role, and from that, the team was finally relieved of the toxic atmosphere. Everyone was initially excited about this new development, but Single management later led to people complaining and turning against him. Today, he's usually known as the Tyrant Lee. The reality is, even if the coach desired otherwise, he could not stand Single. Just as the senior was through with his description, the crowd of rumor mongers hastened away. The senior glanced over to notice some boys sucking up to Single in an absurd way. One of the boys lingered behind, and Minjun inquired, aren't you going to go along with them? The boy just responded, no need. When the break was over and everyone had come back together for practice, the same clique of sycophants came over to Single and asked him what drills they would be practicing today, inquiring as to why all the people were gathered around him, speaking to Single, none of which seemed to make much sense. One of the ones who was dissatisfied voiced more rudimentary drills. Another, is this a kindergarten soccer class or something? Why do we always repeat the same fundamental exercises? The speaker was not entirely wrong. Zhu, in spite of this one, remained unfazed and unemotioned. Wrong. Ji went on. First years are present here, but you can't equate them to the 2nd and 3rd years skill-wise. Do you ever consider the view of the whole team when you make these choices? The coach yelled, wrong. Gee, do you even know what you're doing? Nevertheless, that man became increasingly rude, disrespecting the coach as he yelled, you useless puppet of a coach, get out of here already. Single finally responded to Dong Trei's obnoxious attitude. Single spoke slowly. Do you know if you leave that team and you attempt to get onto another team, no team will have you? After that, Dong Trei fiercely blurted, you asshole. What in the world are you saying? Same repeated, placidly, no team will take you on. You display no teamwork concept during practice time, and even wish to desert this team, don't you? So this jerk of them all is actually you mad? Dong Trei snapped back. Say what you want. Go on. It was then that a slow voice cut in, sorry, I'm running a bit behind. It was Khan Maru who had just showered. He courteously returned the bank card to Single. Seeing this, Dong Trei sneered, so you're still choosing the fat guy, huh? Pathetic? Are you actually making him lose weight? I'm interested. What in the world are you doing with this ruined soccer team? Is your head gone or something? Even if he goes on a diet, a loser is still a loser? Dong Trei laughed hard, are you kidding me? Single's face was still cold as he repeated, can you beat him? If you can, you'll be team captain and coach. Even though annoyed that nobody took the time to consult his opinion, Dong Trei was ecstatic and replied, are you serious? Don't renege on your word. Later on, if I lose, I'll even lick your feet. In the meantime, Maru had set off to change into his soccer jersey. Just then, Juna came and saw him while he was changing. Surprised and embarrassed, Maru hastily covered himself, realizing that Juna had brought his uniform. Blushing, Maru finally got the picture. Juna, seeing the scars on his body, inquiringly asked, "What are these scars from?" She prodded at them and asked again, "Why do you have so many scars?" Flushing, Maru hastened to take his shirt and instructed Juna loudly, "Get out so I can change." Hearing him, Juna exited and shut the door, wondering to herself that the scars were maybe due to his fast weight loss. She understood that this weight loss process was not easy for him. Juna chuckled, delighted at the shyness of Maru, and her mind started wandering. She smiled to herself, laughing, "Maru is such a child, but he's a man now, isn't he?" At that moment, the door opened and Kamaru emerged, sharp-looking and self-assured. Juno was taken aback and taunted. "Is this our loser? Kamaru? You actually look like an actual soccer player." Her compliment now left him blushing profusely. "Everyone is waiting for us, so we should go out." She told me, "I know that Senior used to study soccer in Brazil. Why is he so fixated on playing against a beginner like you? If you lose, it's not a problem. So be confident." Maru, listening to what she said, stayed lost in thought without uttering a word. Watching him like that, Juna patted him on the shoulder and said, "You need to walk with your chest out. Understand, just show them what you've got. And that's enough." Still blushing, Maru answered, "I got it." Seeing him like that, Juna encouraged him even more. "Winning or losing is not the issue, and there is nothing to be afraid of, since I'm here. Juna is always here for you to lean on." Soon enough, Maru came to the field, catching everyone's eyes. The players, however, failed to recognize him at once. Others were still skeptical, believing that today we had to contend with acne again. They did not know what was going on. All they knew was that Senior Dong Trey and Senior Single appeared to be wagering on something which was already sufficient to get the rumors going. Sumho was shocked when he discovered that it was a bed. His companion informed him the fellow standing there is Kong Maru, the plump fellow from selection trials. Suddenly Sumho recalled how he used to call Maru a lamp post. Now he understood Maru had lost considerable some weight. Upon hearing this, Sumho couldn't keep it to himself, and in a flash he bellowed, "Hey, lamp post, hang in there." Juna was irritated by this and grumbled under her breath, "I sort of wish that guy would get beaten up once more by Dong Trey." Dong Trey had now joined the field as well. Some of the players were already losing interest and considering leaving, finding this whole experience dull. Single began explaining the rules at that point. "Other than with your hands, it doesn't matter what part of your body you use, the two of you just have to keep the ball from touching the ground, and whoever gets 3 laps around the field with the ball first wins. If the ball touches the ground, the penalty is to spin in place holding the ball then back to the starting point." "Easy enough, huh?" Single repeated, again. Dong Trey, hearing this, smirked and replied, "If that's all, it's as easy as pie. The result has already been decided." One of his minions, however, whispered in his ear, "Easy as pie, not easy as pig slop. In saying easy as pig slop, you're implying that you're referring to yourself as a pig attempting to conceal his nervousness." Dong Trey dismissed it, stating, "Whether pie or slop, it's easy to me." The captain of the team, who was sitting on the bench, said, "It might be easy, but just as he had learned soccer in Brazil, victory isn't sure." Sure. He won a few elementary school medals and was part of the soccer association, but since entering Haza High School, his luck hasn't been good. He went on, "I've told you before, if you compare yourself to people who reach the sun, then go and become youth soccer representatives. Regardless of how well Dong Trey plays on the field, his advancement will be capped. But if I look at that opponent over there, Kong Maru looks even more pathetic." Kong Maru, timid and nervous, was sniffing. The viewers began speculating on how Maru was only a popular errand boy at school. They questioned out loud, why in the world would he suddenly dream of becoming a soccer player? He's hardly ever played soccer. This is absurd. Even if the game does not go through, we already know the outcome. Listening to how his rival had studied in Brazil, Maru became increasingly insecure. Then suddenly, Single gave him a hard slap on the back and just told him, "Do what you always do. Just give your best." While the guy with glasses smiled menacingly at Dong Trey and whispered in his ear. Whatever he whispered made Dong Trey laugh out loud. And then as Single blew the whistle to mark the beginning of the match, Maru carefully started to lift the ball. Dong Trey, still full of contempt, sarcastically, said, "I don't know what I'm supposed to be waiting for you." He went on cheering sarcastically, as if he were a Kong Maru fan. Then Dong Trey shouted at Single, double-checking the rules, "So the only rule is not to drop the ball and go around 3 times in the field, right?" Single affirmed. Dong Trey grinned after hearing this and let go of the ball in his hand and assumed a kick stance as if to kick. With great force, he kicked the ball right at Maru's head. Maru flinched, turned to glance over his shoulder, but the ball hit him in the back, and he lost control of the ball on his foot. The kick left Maru hurt, and he stumbled forward as the ball shot high into the air. Dongtre seized the opportunity, holding the ball in his chest as he went around the field with a condescending expression. He jokingly remarked, "You got to be more careful," then added sarcastically, "Oops, looks like you'll have to start all over again." Meanwhile, at that point, some boys nearby were teasing. "I heard that guy is worse at soccer than Kong Maru, and even he got eliminated," Dongtre went on taunting. "Oops, you have to be more careful the next time." Though very angry, Kong Maru could not do anything. The first-year students at Haza High appreciated Dongtre's ball control, saying his ball handling ability is no joke. His chest control is very skillful. What's even more amazing is that he can keep the ball from falling even holding it on the top of his foot. Despite the light rain and wind, the gap between him and Kong Maru was growing painfully evident. Dongtre, upon hearing the flattery, sneered in satisfaction and started to flaunt. He slapped the ball in high into the air, bent over, then picked it up on his back. Single stood there, visibly amazed at what was being demonstrated. The ball made its slow journey down the back of Dongtre's head and onto his shoulders, balancing easily there when Dongtre smiled and strode forward towards the first years. He resembled a circus artist performing his tricks. Maru, astonished at what he was seeing, was just able to stand and watch as Dongtre confidently announced, "Do you think I can keep it up for all 3 laps?" Single grew more and more frustrated, not anticipating Dongtre to possess such a trick up his sleeve. In the meantime, Maru was compelled back to the starting point and start over, as Dongtre easily led half a lap behind. Well ahead, suddenly, a fierce gust of wind swept across the field. Juna held up her hand, the rain and wind picking up intensity. A fierce gust blew across the field and deflected the ball on Ronk's head, taken aback. The ball deflected off his head, but he didn't lose control. With a sharp shrug of his shoulder, he jiggled the ball back up and used his knee to juggle it. Dongtre, warily now, used a light tap of his feet to nudge the ball forward, making small, careful steps to retain possession. He glanced over his shoulder to observe Maru's position, seeing that the distance between them had not shifted. Smiling, he parroted, "Foolish. If you just keep going at that rate, you'll just keep chewing my dust." By this time, the rain was coming down harder, and the deteriorating weather made Dongtre lose control. Temporarily. He almost dropped the ball, but was able to catch himself up just in time, preventing a catastrophe. Dongtre exhaled a sigh of relief as the ball stayed at his feet. But the weather just kept on deteriorating. Looking at this one, start breaking down the situation in football. You have only one time to shoot. You have one chance to pass your defender and one chance to make a mistake, win or lose. Everything depends on how you handle the ball during those critical moments. He went on to say, in other words, you simply have to ensure that the ball travels precisely the way you intend it to. That's what you would describe as basic technique. Without that basic skill, even the slightest variable can conveniently knock you down in failure. A single mused over Dongtre's flashy ball tricks. He reasoned it's all show. His talent is a surface-level performance to conceal his lack of fundamentals, regardless of how much everyone else is in awe of his tricks. In the end, he's tricking himself. Sure, fundamentals are strong when nothing can unsettle you. At that time, Maru had bridged the gap. Now right behind Dongtre's single, continued thinking. Basics are the foundation of a person's abilities, and they can have a significant influence on the entire team. What you have to do is put 100% effort. That's called mindset, the type of thinking that will make you stand up and run after the ball, regardless of the odds. That mindset is the beginning of every great action. Haza High requires that type of mindset at the moment. Angry. Dongtre cursed, "Damn it. This cannot be happening. It cannot be like this. What does it even matter? All I have to do is put the ball into the goal." He turned to Single angrily, shouting, "You bastard. I was simply trying to be a nuisance to that kid. But since the beginning, this is all your fault." Angered and humiliated, Dongtre swung his fist at Single without hesitation. He charged towards him, delivering a punch directly on Single's mouth. The younger players quickly stepped in to drag Dongtre away. Enraged and losing temper, Dongtre yelled, "Let go of me. All this doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Are you attempting to show that you're superior at soccer than me?" "I wasn't even attempting at this point from the start," Alone slowly walked over and addressed. "Do you seriously think you can triumph in an actual soccer game? Do you wish to attempt?" The crowd of onlookers began to get concerned because things had gotten too out of hand. But there was one individual who didn't appear to have any interest whatsoever in what was going on the field. Sunho, he strolled over and asked her a totally unrelated question. "Are you the team manager, and are you the girl that the old spud had confessed to before he got halfway?" Juna put her hand over his mouth, telling him, "Hush. This is not the time to speak of it." While the schedule for the match was being mentioned, it would be a 7-on-7 match and both teams could pick their members, and would be played at the weekend. The losing team would have to quit the team permanently. Hearing this, Dong Trai fumed. Red with rage in his face. His spectacled friend went up to him alone and asked, "Isn't this a bit too harsh?" But before he could complete, Dong Trai agreed to the proposal, leaving his friends stunned. Dong Trai explained, "If we both remain on this team, we will not be able to train or work together. It is better that one of us quits. There is little time left until the national soccer tournament, so let us finalize everything here and now. As for you, I don't have the luxury of playing any team I wish. I have no time for this." Rain outside became heavier as Dong Trai turned away. Single called out, "Wait, you still lost to Kong Maru. Accept it. You don't have the talent." Dong Trai sneered and said, coldly, "If I were you, I'd worry more about the match this weekend. Better start preparing." His bespectacled friend grumbled, "Hasn't this gone too far already?" Dong Trai, paying no heed, went on confidently. "First of all, I know a lot of top players, as well as other seniors. Many second and third year students can't abide single. So naturally, they'll join us." The friend, thinking it sounded like something out of Sun Tzu's Art of War, started scribbling all that Dong Trai told him in his notebook, but his slow-thinking mind couldn't absorb all the things that Dong Trai meant beneath the words, so he requested, "Could you tell me again?" Senior, while they grumbled to themselves, Juna was yelling out Damaru, who continued practicing his ball tricks by himself. At last, he turned around, upon hearing Juna yell, "It's over. Let's go." But Maru got it wrong, assuming she said, "Come on, go on." He kept going on, making Juna sigh with frustration. "That's not what I said. You're such a hopeless one." Occasionally, with no other option, Juna tossed a towel to Maru, approached and began drying his hair, stating, "Let's go already. It's done." Maru, with tears in his eyes, "What, so I lost, didn't I?" Juna, frustrated now, replied, "No, you won, you idiot." Smiling and jokingly verifying, "You've won." Abruptly, Maru shrieked in shock, "Oh my god, I won." Confused still, Garo, observing, asked, "How did this occur? How could I win?" Juna, fed up with the explanation, shook her shoulders and matter-of-factly replied, "I give up. I already explained. I don't know, but hey, you did good. Now let's get something to eat with that." The two of them departed from the soccer field, leaving Samho behind. He stood there observing the two walk away. His thoughts filled with mixed emotions. But regardless of what he was thinking, standing in the rain, wetting his hair was not acceptable, so he decided to head back too. Then his bespectacled buddy came up, complimenting Samho and making him feel terrific. "That was a great shot. You ought to concentrate on that." Still basking in compliments, Samho said, "Well, the goalkeeper wasn't very good, that's why I won." The buddy, sounding as if he was attempting to recruit him, asked, "Why do you not play for senior Dong Trai's team? The majority of the seniors are coming with him, and I reckon you'd find yourself at home." Samho hesitated, glancing the way that Kong Maru and Juna had gone. Taking a moment's pause, he grunted him, "Sounds good to me." Upon hearing that, the friend who wore spectacles was exhilarated. "You're going to be quite a player now." Now, Samho, though, didn't want to become too chummy, informing him there's no need to get all buddy-buddy, you look miserable. In spite of that, the two of them walked off the field together. Meanwhile, in the shower room of the club, Single and the team captain were soaking in the hot water after practice. The captain told him, "You went a bit too far with Dong Trai. Despite our dislike, he's a critical member of the team, and we need the two of you for the nationals to be sincere. Dong Trai is senior to you, and if this continues, it would give the freshman a bad idea." Single fell quiet for some time before finally giving his slow responses. "So he's more senior? He doesn't have to continue like that forever. That is why I must make him learn how to listen to others. That obnoxious jerk should learn his lesson." On the other hand, Dong Trai was also thinking the same thing, "That cursed Single, I have to beat him. I'll kick him out of the team and go to the national tournament." Dong Trai went into a gym, the first person he wished to meet, Shinon being the star striker of Haza High School. Jinon welcomed him with a smile. "What do you want here? Dong Trai, have you already given that first-year kid a lesson?" The question caught Dong Trai stuttering and could not answer. After hearing Dong Trai explain his scheme, Jin Yuen smiled, saying naturally, "I will join your group, but how about Gu and Minjun? Are they your allies as well?" Jinan added, "Honestly, Single is a great player but no coach, and another thing, that first-year kid you're talking about, he'll likely feel the same way when he's a third year. I've already drawn up my application to become a professional soccer team member. We can't depart without winning or titles, but all he does is preach fundamentals. He doesn't care about us at all." It was then that someone came by yelling, "Why are you not going on to clean up this?" Surprised Jenin, who responded quickly, "Yes, sir." As he departed, he turned around to face Dong Trey and stated, "Regardless of what happens, I'm on your side witnessing this." Dong Trey was elated. At the very moment, someone yelled out, "Hey ho!" Dong Trey, he spun around and spotted two familiar faces smiling at him. "It's been a while, hasn't it?" "That surely is Ho Dong Trey," they chuckled. Dong Trey sheepishly said, "Yeah. It's been a while." The two happened to be none other than Lee Ziho and Kim Zio, who were both representatives of Sherwan High School's youth soccer team. They inquired of Dong Trey whether he was still playing soccer, observing his uniform. They said, "Is that actually a soccer uniform? Why did we not see you at the previous tournament?" Before Dong Trey could respond, they read the name on his chest, Haza High School, a school with no great soccer reputation. The fan-tailed guy made a crude comment, but his blonde-haired friend promptly poker-faced him to desiccate. He even pretended to smile and said, "Anyway, I'm glad you're still kicking soccer balls around." Enthusiastically, Dong Trey retorted, "You guys are from Sherwan High and your youth soccer representatives. I'm a little envious." Pretending to be buddies, they retorted, "Envious of what? Why don't we kick soccer balls this weekend, just like before?" "What do you say to Dong Trey?" This was like a lifeline. He responded with enthusiasm, "I'd love to play with you guys, but how about this weekend?" Time flew by, and match day arrived. Dong Trey's team came onto the field with determination, willing to take on singles lineup. As Ho Sung Ji's team walked in, two boys sitting nearby were left speechless. "I can't believe my eyes, Senior Dago Igu, Senior Xiaomi Jun, Senior Shin Jianu and even Jang Sun-hoon are here. Wait, who are these two?" They gazed in shock. "Sun-hoon is on their team as well. I used to think that he and Senior Su were best of friends," said one boy. Another even more enthusiastically added, "Look, there are even girls, they're youth soccer ambassadors, Lee Jo and Kim Jinu. Insane. Whether or not they win today, Su's team is going to struggle." Su and Sun-hoon once teammates, now opponents. Flashback on the previous night, Su was drying his hair when Sun-hoon went to meet him and told him, "Su, I've been thinking, and I want to apologize. I never wanted to be a professional soccer player myself, so I always pretended not to see everything you did, but I think now is the time to stop pretending you are the boss." Su was shocked to hear Sun Yuen's words. Sun-hoon continued, talking in earnest, "You're a player, but you've been treating me like a coach. Do you even know how that looks? A second year speaking to his senior as equals? It's not about nationality. I think we need to hire a real coach to direct our team. That's all we need." He finalized, "I really don't see why you have been doing it like this, but if at all you are still keen on taking revenge, don't separate the team anymore." After being told so, Si made use of face darkened, but Sun-hoon didn't lose smile and added, "I guess stuff like common sense do not go very well to someone like you, but others' lives live in soccer and therefore, just do not waste time like that." As Sun-hoon turned to exit, he added, "As a friend, that's my last advice to you." Su then interjected, "I am sorry, but I've never been joking around as a coach. No one in South Korea can make me change my mind." Sun-hoon turned back with an inciting tone. "Then you better be ready if you don't want to get kicked off the team." Back to the present, Su suddenly collided with two members of Susie's team. "Oh, my god, is that really Susie? Damn. This guy's still in Korea, huh? He's better than before." They taunted. "Look who it is. The traitor of Korean soccer still causing trouble, huh?" Sun Soo Jino joined in furiously, "Because of you, I became a failure." The black-haired guy went on. "Do you remember when you came into the national team with backdoor networking, pretending to be some sort of star? You even got to shoot a penalty shot, but guess what? You missed. How do you even have the face to still come on the field? You shame." They laughed brutally even though they said otherwise. Su looked down, not showing any expression. The two went on, "It's all because of you that I lost my opportunity to be a champion in the U17 World Cup that was conducted in Korea." As Su's rumors got around, even some people gossiped that he had caused the death of a teammate. Suu cast a glance at them as they chatted and said, "So he killed himself due to this bastard, huh?" They walked away tossing one final comment, "If you have a single ounce of decency, leave the soccer, you piece of garbage." Maru remained quietly observing Suu as the game neared. Now it was time for the two teams to shake hands and say hello. The players shook hands. Sanji, Sun, Un and Su included. It was becoming a fascinating game. Prior to the game, Maru appeared to be tense. The atmosphere is too intense. He believed the game was about to start with each half taking 30 minutes. Players assumed their positions with Mizone eagerly warming up. "What position am I playing? Forward or midfielder?" he asked himself. Somebody called out suddenly, "Li Min Zhang," excited. He replied, "Yes, senior. Which spot am I on?" His senior answered, "Wait, I'll put you on shortly, but for the moment, run and get me a drink." Min Zhang's expression turned hostile with rage. What the heck? This senior jerk, he grumbled to himself. Two players from Susie's team weren't worried. Do we do what? Just play defense aggressively and try to see where it leads us. One mentioned lightly, the whistle went off, and the match began. Team Soon. G Squad at goalkeeper, Hong Ji-song, right back, Lee Ji-ho, center back, Sangon Zion, left back, Kim Shinu, midfielders, Jansenho and Hanji forward, single ONU team, SUS lineup head goalkeeper, Lee Gongdu right back, Jang Ginshop, center back, Choi Dong-hun, left back, Hyo-don Kai, midfielders, Ken Maru and Sun Su forward, Gano Trun. The game started, and the people outside began cheering for Maru. Come on! Can Maru? You can do it! Barca Zone expressed concern as they watched the players. Let us see what these players from Sa Chung Sigona can do. Someone said Lee Jo was the one who currently had the ball, but with the initial few moments, SU was already tensed. He told himself, don't be lured in by the ball. Remain composed. Don't let them lead you. Stand your ground against the opponent. Maru attempted to calm himself. I just have to remain calm. All I have to do is block him, just block his way. At the same time, the right back of Team Suwon-ji was playing peacefully, considering where to pass next. Where should I pass but then slip? The right back lost his footing, and the ball rolled unexpectedly towards Maru. They were both surprised, and the defender stood there with his eyes wide open, staring at the ball. Maru noticed the gap soon enough and thought, did he mess up? Without delay, he attacked. This was his opportunity. Observing this, Kai Ho smiled smugly. Was that your intention? He chuckled. Quickly. Kaiho kicked the ball away and teased Maru about his foolishness, then dribbled quickly the ball out through Maru's legs, then ran past him. Su, witnessing this, felt agitated. The game was taking shape, and Su hurriedly ran to cover Kaiho. He told himself, Kaiho can be a defender, but his attack play is something to be jeered at. If I let him loose, it'll be perilous. Kaiho seemed ready to pass the ball. Going to pass? No, wait. Su saw Don Kai was keeping pace with Sunho too. Don Kai spotted a teammate moving ahead and hollered, Senior, coming to assist. But Su at once called out, no, remain where you are. Meanwhile, on the sidelines, Chad-in was doing some homework on Li Xiao from Sa Chung Sigan. Let's have a look to see what we can discover on Li Zio. Back to the game. Don Kai didn't act fast enough but capitalized when Kai Ho gave him an angular pass. Two game-watching students gasped. He's just going to dribble past. Does he have such confidence in his pace? Shaitan, who remained outside, learned about Kai-ho Lee. Kai-ho of Sigan, otherwise referred to as the Cannonball. Sunho was also amazed at his teammate's performance, musing, wow, that's amazing. As the ball reached Kai-ho, he made a cross from the Wayne, the target receiver, the star forward Jansen Ho, Sa Chung Ha's main striker. Would it be Sim Jianu, or would it be the winger, Ho Suonji? Thud. It was Sunji who received the ball, carefully watching the moment. Sunji noticed that there were 3 attackers and only 2 defenders. Who should I pass to? Abruptly, with a flash of speed, Sunji rushed forward and kicked the ball with strength. The ball soared towards the goal, with its path set directly to the net. Kane, the ball struck the post and bounced directly into the goal. Suu and Maru were left stunned as Team Suonji exploded into cheers. Danya, standing on the sidelines, was visibly worried. They're great on both sides of the ball, this game is going to be difficult for Team. Suliona, wrapping his arm around Suzy in laughter, said, the next time you receive the ball, don't forget to pass it to me. Alright, okay, we're a team. Remember Suzy laughing? Replied, yeah, I know. Team SU was under a lot of pressure, as one would expect from third-year players. Their pace was petrifying. Su went to his teammates attempting to keep them calm. Everyone, come on, remain focused. Don't get worked up. Relax and don't be fooled by their tactics. Su started analyzing Hashijai is right-footed, so don't allow him to cut inside and follow you in close proximity. His shooting foot is his right foot. If you cut off his inside angle, he will be forced to the other side and that will cut his shooting angle drastically. If he does not adjust his technique and attempts a shot, he will have to shoot with his left foot and that's his weak foot, so just make him go to the middle. Heard this Heron shop doubtful, but if we allow him to take the ball outside, won't he cross it or pass it? I'm concerned about that. Su, however, smiled confidently, confusing Heron shop further. Both teams were again in position. Su shouted to Kanmaru, give it your best. His eyes were full of faith. Witnessing this, Kanmaru began to sweat with nervousness, but turned around hastily, muttering, good luck, huh? Su's confident stare never shifted as he gazed ahead. The whistle sounded and the match continued. Lu Nu and Suonji rushed ahead, struggling for possession. Suonji, keeping Su closely marked, teased him. Come on, Sun Su, you idiot. But Suu only smiled and rapidly passed the ball to Heron shop before heading back. Suzy, frustrated, grumbled, what the hell? Why is he always driving past Heron Shop? And Sue continued to exchange passes back and forth, maneuvering past the midfielders. This was evidently infuriating. Susie, on the other hand, Shu had the ball and was advancing it straight into the goal with 3 defenders ahead of him. Sunon was deeply concentrated, thinking, "Come on, Shu, you need to understand you won't get anywhere if you keep going down this road." Shu continued moving forward, cautiously observing from the rear, but suddenly Maru burst forward, shocking everyone as he did. A memory passed through his mind during a training exercise where it was just him and Sue on the field. Sue had instructed him in this game, "There's only one thing you have to think about." One thing Maru had asked. Suu replied, "Pass the ball. Your job is to maintain the ball in motion with a single touch. To accomplish that, you must know where each player is positioned at the time you pass. That's how you will maintain the ball in motion. Don't forget about that. Just pass and pass, back to the here and now." Sue passed the ball to Maru. Maru picked it up and looked around. He saw that forward Gano Chun was being closely marked by defender Kim Jina. Looking in another direction, he saw that Don Kai wasn't being marked at all. Kaiho suddenly materialized in front of Maru, cutting him off. Maru crashed into Kaiho, as if he had bumped into a boulder. He landed hard on the ground as Kaiho was about to go on the attack. With a swift look, Kaiho communicated with Susie, who understood the cue. In an instant, Kaiho established his position and fired a strong, precise long shot at the end of the pass. Sunji received the ball. Hiran Shop was still following Sunji closely, recalling Sus instruction to block him from cutting inside. "I had to block him from taking the ball to the center," he thought. Sushi saw Heron Shop's confused face and smiled out of nowhere. Sunji flicked the ball high up in the air and quickly dodged around Heron Shop. "Damn. I didn't see that coming." Hiran Shop grumbled as he hurried to pursue him. "No issue, I can still catch up." "Wait." Hiran Shop lost his balance and slipped, with no hindrance in Suunji's way. As he moved toward the target he's about to shoot, someone called out. Team Su immediately moved in to guard. Sunho made a call to his teammates, "Over here, pass it, Leon, pass it. I'm open." Sunho joined in, "I've got this side covered." But Suunji paid no attention to their calls and let loose another fierce shot. Just as before, clang the ball, strike the goalpost again, rebounding directly into the net. Team Su had let in another goal. Sunji netted yet another spectacular point. Goalkeeper Gong Du was dejected, and the whole team was left dazed while Team Suunji was jubilating enthusiastically. But John Nu went up to Suzy and confronted him. "Hey, Suz, why didn't you pass to me?" Suzy, bewildered, answered, "Did you? What do you mean?" Lianu, agitated, added, "Do you think you're the only player on the team?" Suzy smiled and said, I know. I was afraid we'd lose possession if I passed." Learning this, Lianu simmered down, though cautioned, "If you do that again, I'm not passing to you the next time." Suzy, who was not yet losing her smile, replied, all right. I promise." The score was now 2-0 in Team Suunji's favor. With the game on, Suu started to think, "We need more than just holding out not to end this half of the game on a sour note. This isn't going to work. We must score. If we do manage to score one goal, it would elevate the whole team's morale seeing the field from there." Su calculated here the half the length of the field is 26.25 meters, so now there are merely 10 meters remaining outside of the penalty box of a full-sized field. That's ample width that he chose to have a try. Su unleashed a rocket of a shot, gambling everything on this one strike. The ball seemed to zoom towards the goal. The Suunji team's goalkeeper was taken aback. "It's coming." He jumped up in the air, with his hands outstretched, but the power behind the shot was just too much. The ball burst into the back of the net, with Team Suunji left stunned. No one could believe it, particularly Sunji, who stared on in shock. "Hey!" Koran Shop, who was surprised at first, burst out into joy, with extreme pride. The team moved forward to commemorate the amazing goal, overjoyed to have finally scored. Su regained his confidence, believing now the real match starts. Previously, his rivals had underestimated him, but now even Chiho and Gina were impressed that shot wasn't bad at all, huh? They admitted, begrudgingly. "Well, Asayu, shots are always great," someone said, but Sunji, still stubborn, would not believe it. "No, he just happened to be lucky. We don't have to modify our plan. Just stick with the same thing we have been doing." Sunji ordered the whistle blew, and play was resumed this time. Center back, Ganji Yong had possession of the ball as soon as play was resumed. Sunji shouted out, "Just play normally. Pass it to me." But on the other side, Jionu also yelled out here, "Pass it to me." The center back was stumped for a moment. Donghun of Team Su attempted to block Jianu, but he couldn't even move him by an inch. "I'll pass it to Jianu." Ganji Yang decided from afar, Sun who ran towards Jianu, but Jianu did not intend to pass. Why would I pass to you? He thought proudly, I can score on my own. Suzy, closing in from the side as well, screamed, pass it to me. I've got this. But Jianu was obstinately thinking, why would I pass to you? Do you think that you're the only one who is looking to score? I am capable of scoring on my own. Even before Jianu was able to shoot, Su tackled in and sent the ball away, sparing the team danger. Jianu did not expect this, and was taken aback. Seizing the moment, Su quickly shouted at Dun Chi, hold the ball, but Dun Chi's speed could not keep up with the speed of the other players. Sunho now had the ball, and the goalkeeper of Team SU was already getting ready, yelling, don't let him shoot so easily. Both teams' players rushed for the ball as Sunho was about to shoot, pass it to me. A player shouted, but similar to Suwonji and Lianu earlier, Sunho desired his moment of glory. If they don't pass, why should I? He believed in taking a shot that caught even Lianu by surprise. The ball bounced off Jianu's body, directly towards the goal. Fortunately, it rebounded against the crossbar and the game went on. Team Su got another opportunity, but who would receive the ball now? Unfortunately for them, it landed at Suzy's feet. Heron Shop, with his new experience, came in, resolute. I won't be tricked again. I need to just prevent him from cutting inside. Suwonji, still assured, began to dribble fast. Wait, what? He suddenly stopped, perplexed. I want to cut in, but he's not allowing me. Fine. I'll just dribble outside then. Sunji rapidly pushed the ball to the outside, and Heron Shop pursued him. Teammates shouted from the other side of the field. Sunji, pass it over here. Cross it. But this time, Team Su had realized after the last goal. They knew that when Suwonji dribbled outside, he'd either cross or pass. I'm concerned here. One of the teammates had considered previously, Heron Shop was expecting a cross, but Suzy was not of that idea. Would he pass or cross? All wondered, but Suzy retained the ball, staring at Heron Shop in disbelief. Then all of a sudden Suzy did a quick nutmeg, nutmegging the ball through Heron Shop's legs. Did you truly assume I'd allow you to do that? Heron Shop smiled, but Sunji was amazed as Heron Shop easily took the ball from him without delay. Heron Shop rolled the ball to Su for a counterattack with Sunho already in place close behind Chadon sitting on the bench. Couldn't help but be amazed. The way he returns on defense is unbelievable. He believed now it was Su's turn. Sunho, confident, was prepared to see what Su had in store. Su looked at the field for a moment before making his move, dribbling around Sunho with such pace that even the monster rookie couldn't follow. Sunho was only able to stare back in amazement, not being able to follow the ball's movement. The crowd was also amazed at Su's style. Soccer is so easy when you watch someone like him. One of the watchers said, yeah, you're correct. Another one said, but you cannot deny Su's amazing talent, at least for those playing on the ground currently. Su gestured to Maru, and Maru got it. Charging ahead. He recalled Su's advice earlier. When you're pressured in the game, don't overplay. Suu passed the ball to Maru, who took it cautiously, sizing up the scene before trying to shoot from distance. Orkan intercepted the pass as Maru made a run down the field, passing Su. He remembered a recent training session. What do you do when you pass the ball? Su had asked him. Maru hesitated in answering, hoping for a goal. Su gave him a quick head tap for his answer. Su. Stop being absurd after you pass. You must keep on moving and look for space. You and another player must make a triangle according to where the ball handler is. Imagine yourself as a point. We must keep the passing lanes open like blood flowing through the body. Although Maru did not get it at first, he reiterated blood circulation. Su nodded, yes, you are the blood vessels. In his childlike way, Maru replied, I'm a blood vessel of courage. I'm a blood vessel of strength. Su smiled again, but made it clear, if the vessels don't link up, the whole squad disintegrates back in the game team. Su passed the ball to Heron Saf, who took it easily and watched carefully to the field. Orkan was being marked hard. Should I pass to Maru? He wondered, but then he saw Sunin was around. All of a sudden, Maru ran ahead, receiving the pass and distributing the ball to Orkan in no time. Orkan had the ball once more, and this sudden play surprised Sunin. Even with his experience, Sunin had not expected Maru's improvement. He's totally bypassed me. Sunin understood, amazed at Maru's progress. Maru kept pushing, but one defender was still left between him and victory, Lee Kai-hu from Sa Chung Sigan. This time Lee Kai-hu was more alert, suspiciously eyeing Maru. He's a newbie. He might be talented, but nonetheless a rookie. I don't know what his game is. Maru, however, already had a strategy. What is the next spot in the triangle? He questioned. Maru's unexpected pass surprised Team Suwonji. They did not see this move coming in any way. On the other side of the field, the ball was coming directly at Sun Su, who did not see such a great pass from Maru, that goofball. How did he execute such a perfect through ball? Su wondered in awe, however, but Team Suunji wasn't ready to let Team Su have the high ground for a long while. Sunho took off to pursue Sun Su, yet was cooled despite efforts by Sunho to overthrow him. Su guarded the ball to his death and moved in to score and play SUS. Mine did get distracted. Why do all feel trapped? Why can't they just be hearing the coach me? Why do they want to be different? His thoughts were interrupted by cruel voices from his past. He's a fool riding on backdoor connections to be part of the team. That selfish asshole. He's nothing but trash, a blot on Korean soccer. In spite of those bitter memories, Su stayed on track as Xenu had not stopped him while urging forward. Su started to think about a scene from 4 years ago in the soccer club room of Yugen Middle School, where a little boy was being bullied by high school students. "Why do you want me to do laundry for you?" the little boy had said, sullenly. The high school boys, infuriated, answered, "What did you say?" But the younger boy was not intimidated. "Why don't you do it yourselves? Why are you forcing me to do it?" That boy was a first-year student at Yugen Middle School by the name of Sun Su. The ringleader, Baeksong Chayoke, a third-year student, was incensed. "What did you just say? You brat?" But one of his subordinates attempted to restrain him. "You can't play around with him. He's dead serious." In spite of the warning, Baek kept getting lost. "Before I make you regret it. Next time I see you, you'll get it." After the bullies went away, a sympathetic classmate asked, "Su, are you alright?" Su replied, "Yeah, I'm fine." His friend, Jun, Sung missing, a classmate who was also in the first year, looked up to him, saying, "Gosh, Su, you're terrific. You even stood up to upperclassmen." Su, attempting to cheer him up. His buddy answered, "You could do it too, if you tried." Sung, gone, was thrilled. "You think so? Well, first I've got to get this laundry done," he said, balancing the task at hand. Su sighed at his buddy's nonsense, thinking to himself, why does he always have to be the one to do this back on the field? 3 friends were preparing to race. Sung Gon won the race, crossing the finish line first to the cheers of his fellow first-year soccer players, such as Kim Soo-chan. "Wow. Sung Gon, you're amazing." Kim Soo-chan envied. "He's so quick. He's got excellent passes and a killer shot too." The others said, feeling a little jealous. Sung Gon already had his right as the bright new star in the team, and as he and Gan's friends strolled off the playing field under sunset, Sun, Gan's buddies, joked, "Once you are a superstar, never forget us," giggling. Sung Gon said, "I could never do that." And together, they walked away dreaming of becoming great soccer players tomorrow. At the official soccer team selection, okay, the players selected for today are Kim Chao-soo, Jin Bu Jong, Suwon Musu Su and Kim Soo-chan. The news was blared over the loudspeaker. Everyone was shocked. No one had anticipated that Sung Gon would be dropped. SU was seen looking confused and Sung Gan's Fauci darkened. A voice suddenly barked, "Ru! Sung Gon, hurry up!" Sung Gon, with 2 large pink bags in hand, came running. "Sorry, coach," he apologized, but the Yugen Middle School soccer coach appeared annoyed. "If you're not going to be good at soccer, then be rich or something, because you're so slow, it's pathetic." Sung Gon, you have to teach yourself. No one is to do anything for you. The entire team replied in chorus, "Yes, coach." The coach went on, "Today, we practice shooting. Everyone to your positions." Whoosh, the ball sailed towards. Sung vanished. He caught it and shot. It was a good try, and even 2 senior players sitting on the sidelines admitted it. "That's quite good, and he's just a first year." One asked, "Looks like it." The other responded, "Bad luck." The ball struck the crossbar and the coach was not happy. "What's wrong with your legs? Boy, you couldn't even score on a wide-open goal. Perhaps you should just return home and hold on to your mother's apron strings, you idiot." These 2 seniors who had just complimented him immediately joined in the jesting. "Perhaps it was just beginner's luck, hey?" One laughed, "Yeah, what a joke. He's useless." The other nodded in agreement, laughing. The coach sneered and shouted for the next player, "Su-chan, you're up." Su-chan walked up and shot. The ball went wide of the goal. But unlike with Sung Gon, the coach did not yell at him. Instead, he complimented, "You've improved a lot. Su-chan. Do a better job next time." Sitting on the sidelines, Sung Gon was filled with anger, but he could only be silent, unable to alter the situation. Following the practice session, the coach confronted the 2 seniors in a short alley. "That are you, Sung, kid, no more. His train attitude is unacceptable. It's about time we put him down a peg or 2, he added, the smile on his face sinister. The 2 elders without hesitation stepped forward. "We'll take care of it. You don't need to trouble yourself, coach." The coach was satisfied. "Good." With the nod he dismissed them. Afterwards, he took out his cell and called up Sung Gon's mother. "Hello. This the mother of Zhu Xin passed on?" "Yes. I'm calling because I've observed that Sung Gon is having a difficult time adapting to the environment here. I believe he requires special attention. I have my issues, but if you'd like to express your support for him, maybe we should meet and talk about it further. Meanwhile, one of the seniors who had been harassing Sunggon previously was entangled in his own drama. He grumbled to himself, damn, things are getting complicated, but it's all your fault. Ru Sunggon, don't worry, though, you'll be in some no-name school soon enough. Just roll with it and move on. Seething with rage, the senior stormed into the classroom yelling, where's that Ru Sunggon? Where's that little punk? Sunggon, totally clueless, innocently, responded, here I am. The older one grabbed Sunggon by the head and dragged him away. Come with me, you piece of trash. They brought him to a hiding place alley where a bunch started beating him mercilessly. Hey, idiot, if you show any disrespect to the coach once more, don't think that you will ever be able to touch a soccer ball again. One of them threatened. Then a voice yelled out, Sunggon. Su rushed towards his face with anger. The group hesitated, sensing Su's arrival. Crap, it's Su, let's leave, they whispered as they fled. Su ran towards Sunggon, concerned. Are you alright? Hold on. Sunggon, the group witnessing this, mocked. Su, oh, how adorable. Look at him taking care of his little buddy. I'm so envious. Now. Get him out of here before I beat him up once more. Su's furious, glared at them. What the hell did he do to deserve that? He demanded. Before looking back at Sunggon, let me assist you up. But rather than accepting the assistance of Su, Sunggon coldly said, I don't need your assistance. I can do it myself. Then he added, and don't act like we know each other from now on with that. Sunggon stood up and departed, leaving Su standing there and all watching him go back to school. Shortly after, Su realized something was amiss. Sunggon's mother and the coach were heading into the coach's office. The coach started, Ma'am, your son has been behaving strangely of late. I believe he's having trouble adapting to the new setting, maybe we need to talk about how to approach this. Sunggon's mom appeared worried, but the coach's attitude was nauseating. His grin became sleazy as he went on. Let's proceed slowly on this. Sunggon, eavesdropping outside, was appalled and dismayed at what he heard. He couldn't believe his ears. Suddenly Su appeared. He opened the door and witnessed the scene. Both Sunggon and Su were standing in shock. Without hesitation, Su took a big brick and bashed it into the coach's head. The coach fell into the chair, but Su did not stop. He kept beating him. You filthy scum, disgusting bastard. Su yelled as he punched the coach over and over again. Sunggon walked in and stood still, totally frozen by the scene before him. A year on, at an airport, Su was being taken out of the country by another man he had been sent overseas with in Hamburg. Su stood by a river practicing with his team. After practice, Su went home and showered. When he reached to pick up his phone to check his messages, his heart sank. The news struck him hard, Sunggon was dead. Su collapsed, sitting down and crying uncontrollably. Memories of Sunggon filled his head along with the words of Sun-un, why are you always so selfish? Why do you always behave as if you're the only one bearing the burden? Back in the present, the match resumed. Su shot, and again the ball went past the goalkeeper. It was a beautiful shot into the back of the net. Kaiho Sun-un and Xenu were amazed. Suu walked up to Sun-un and at last responded to the question that he had asked earlier, since that is what I am capable of, since I am better at doing it confidently. Su continued, a garbage coach couldn't stop me. I'll show you I can get the job done, and if you can't deal with that, you can leave. He stopped and continued, because Hazahai is mine, time for a break had come, and the tie was 2-2. Suzy was attempting to keep everyone calm. Chill guys, we can still win this. They have no chance to win. But the team didn't say anything. Jian Shopanoid, cursed, then, pass the ball, fool. This ignited an argument between two of the players. You didn't pass it to me either. So shut up and stop accusing me, idiot. One of them shouted, what did you just say to me? The other flared up. Sunho, observing the arguing, sighed in anger. At the same time, Kaiho and Xenu were cool-headed, watching the scene. Due to Su, the other team has their spirit back. Xenu said. Kaiho remembered the previous match. Then I was confident that I had the passing lane between Kamaru and Suu under control. I even left the area empty towards Su, expecting him to make the pass, and feigned not seeing Suu behind me in that moment. Kamaru was supposed to pass the ball into the vacant area in front of Sun Tzu, but Kamaru went ahead and made a straight pass to Su's feet. Under normal circumstances, a pass such as that decelerates upon reaching the receiver and becomes more difficult to keep speed. If he had given a through pass, the ball would have been in my range. If he had passed deeper, it would have dropped into Sunho's area. He went on thinking Kamaru should have been under pressure, but still gave an absolutely flawless pass to Su's feet. There was no possibility of him knowing what I was thinking. He even evaded both Mai and Sunho's coverage. Did he think all this ahead? But then he reminded himself, Kong Maru knows nothing about passing technique. He was simply doing what Suu instructed him. If you're unsure, pass to the player's feet. He is still inexperienced. The players went back to their posts to resume the match this time. Team Suwonji knew they had to be more careful. Suwonji attempted to compose himself, thinking, we can still win this without Sun Su. They're just a bunch of first years. But he couldn't help but wonder, why do they suddenly seem so strong? Team Suwonji kept attacking, but every chance they had slipped through their fingers. The players were getting increasingly tense, sprinting hard and competing for the ball, but their individualistic play was dragging the team down. Sunho, feeling the pressure, was getting more and more frustrated. Suddenly, John Nu let out a cry, hey, first years, close your mouths, or you won't ever be able to speak again. This just served to infuriate Sunho, that fool incompetent and arrogant too, he fumed, but all he could do was secretly cry, oh, God, I'm going crazy. Goalkeeper, Gong Du, made a pass to CEO, who made a pass to Dun Kai. Dun Kai rushed to get the ball, looking at the field and decided to pass it to Maru. It was a hopeful shot. Kaiho, still confused with Maru's strategy, thinks Maru is a forward player, but he keeps dropping back getting the ball and then passes it to Su. Is this a gimmick, like last time he is a forward, but occasionally plays like a midfielder? Something is wrong. Suu took possession of the ball and passed it to a teammate in a hurry. This time, Oh-chun was in possession of the ball, but Xenu was tight on him. Fortunately, Maru rushed in out of nowhere to assist him. When did he arrive? Oh-chun asked himself. Team SUS players were moving the ball smoothly, and the audience started making comments, although it seems like Shortly G's team is ahead, actually it's Team Su who's dominating. They've been attacking more frequently, whereas Team Suwonji mostly does counter-attacks. It's odd, because counter-attack strategies are normally employed by teams that are disadvantaged. Cha Dan interrupted suddenly. I believe I have solved Team Su's strategy. Everyone was interested but perplexed. What's the difference between the two teams at this moment? Someone inquired of Chad and went on, the difference is in their passing game. During the first 25 minutes of the game, Team Suwonji made about 40 passes, whereas Team Su has made 3 times more. If you look closely, you'll see that the players are making space around one central player. Can Maru? Maru? The others were thinking, although his primary job has been to distribute the ball, he's always placed himself so that he's in a position to create a triangle with the player who's got the ball. That leaves him with 2 possible passing choices at all times. Chan said, but someone pointed out, if all they're doing is passing, then they aren't going to score. Why pass so well if you can't score? Chad and I wondered, the point of soccer is putting the ball in the other team's net. Which means that the only way they can score is by using Su. When Suu scored 2 times in a row, the other team had to mark him every time. The plan is getting clearer now. Sunan had also figured out the same thing. It's all because of that boy, Maru, that the ball keeps rolling to our side of the field. This pitch is half the size of a normal field, so the game speed is much quicker. Everyone's been running after the ball non-stop without time to catch their breath. If we don't wrap this match up now, we're all going to be beat. Suddenly, Suu screamed, Maru. Now, Maru knew what he had to do right away, remembering Sayu's tips from practice, keep your head clear. Just keep passing until they relax and let their guard down when they think you're going to pass again, that's when you attack. In the middle of the intense game, Maru halted in reverse direction, moving the ball in front of him while dribbling. Sunan was not anticipating the action, and everyone in the stadium went wild. I can't believe it. Not only did he reverse direction that fast, but he still maintained possession of the ball. Someone cried, is he a genius? Others grumbled, but they realized that was not enough. Kai Ho and Kim Jina were closing in on Maru from behind to cut him off before he could shoot as they rushed in. Maru did the unexpected. He rolled the ball back. Chi-Ho and Jina were caught totally off guard from afar. Another player was coming in to pick up the ball. Who is that? People wondered. It was Oh-chun, taking advantage of the perfect situation. He shot and the ball went directly into the net. It's a goal. Chutin, Juna, Sunan, and Su all were left speechless. Team Su succeeded. Oh-chun, who was full of excitement, shouted up Maru's name and ran to him. Maru, who was clearly shocked, wondered what's going on. Orkin hugged Maru tightly. This goal is 90% yours because of you, Maru, you performed great. Do you even know how big your help was, you goof amazing? Gina and Kai-ho shared confused stares. What happened just now? They both questioned, still in an attempt to wrap their minds around the instant. Chadun piped up. I cannot believe it. One of the young players interjected, wait. Are you going to begin one of your explanations again without letting them wait? Chad went ahead to elaborate. Sunji plays with one apparent goal scoring. That is why his behavior is so predictable. Maru, however, passes and waits for the right moment. When he finally takes advantage of the moment, it surprises everyone, making it a chance to score a player like him, always leaving everything on the field in a tense and difficult game. Is someone I really look up to. The score at that time was 3-2 in favor of Team Su. With only a few minutes left in the first half, Team Suwonji was seeking a slight opportunity to return to the game. Xena shouted, "Suwonji cross." He and Shop, having caught the signal from the other team, remained alert. Sunji dribbled past with feints to fool him, a mock-keen Shop thought. As Sunji effectively managed to pass him, he's slick, but not this time. He and Shop grumbled, remaining intently focused on Sunji. She knew, getting impatient, grumbled, "He's so annoying." Hein didn't allow Sunji hold the ball for too long, quickly intercepting it. The ball then flew in the direction of Jianu, who smiled. "I'd been waiting for this moment," but just as Jianu was about to take over, Sunji came running in, telling Jianu to come in. But Jianu, stubborn as ever, didn't listen. "If you're not going through, why should I? I'll do it myself." Suddenly, Sunho ran in and took the ball away from Jianu. Furious, Jianu swore under his breath that jerk. Sunho dribbled beautifully forward and released a strong shot, easily, past the other goalkeeper. Su was shocked, and Maru watched in awe as Sunho smiled proudly. "Well, what can I say? None of you were scoring, so I had to do something." Sunho boasted, smugly. The audience couldn't believe their eyes. "No way, did that just happen?" they whispered in shock. But Jianu was not happy at all. "You little punk. Do you think I'll let you get away with that? What do you think you're doing?" But Sunho, unflustered, replied in a defiant tone. "What's the problem? I scored, didn't I?" Leonu, seething with anger, seemed about to resort to violence. "You! How dare you!" he bellowed. Rushing at Sunho, his teammates needed to act fast to prevent the situation from becoming a brawl. "Leonu, chill. We're playing soccer. Don't forget, what do you think you're doing?" One teammate encouraged, another added, "Chill out, man. Why are you getting so angry?" But Leonu just kept shouting, "Let me go. I'm not going to let this first-year bragger get away with disrespecting us like that." Suzy panicked, jumped in. "Leonu, relax. You'll have your chance to score next time, don't blow the game by getting angry. Now, what are we going to do if you foul up the match?" Jionu, further enraged, shoved shortly. "G aside, get lost, you fool. You're just the same." He lost his temper. "You enjoy playing alone, right? Is that it? None of you ever passed the ball to me, not even once? Screw all of you." Suzy, trying to defend herself, yelled back, "But with defenders stuck right on you, how am I supposed to pass to you?" He and Shop quickly stepped in to halt the growing argument. "Stop it, guys, what are you doing? Acting like this?" he pleaded. But Jianu wasn't giving in. He smacked he and Shop on the face. "Don't look at me, go away from me," he ordered. Dunkai hurried over, worried. "Are you alright?" he asked. Ki and Shop. Sunho, in the meantime, seeing the altercation among his mates, quietly went away and left them arguing. The referee, perplexed and not sure what to do, turned toward Su for help. "What must we do?" he questioned. Su, though, replied coldly. "Why are you questioning me? You're the referee, aren't you? Deal with it yourself." Kaiho and Gina, tired of the scene, looked at each other. They're quarreling right in the middle of the field. "I have had enough." Kaiho called for Suwonji. "Hey, Suwonji, we're leaving." Sunji, agitated, protested. "Wait, why, the match isn't about to end yet." "Don't leave." But Kaiho let out a frustrated sigh. "You're still the same. Sunji, remember that time we were at Boryong, we had an argument because you never shared the ball?" "Yeah, that. We came today out of curiosity to see if you'd have changed, but obviously you hadn't," he went on. "You must learn how to work together more. That's why this team is in such a mess." Before long, G's expression turned dark, and even Su was taken aback at the bitter words. Jionu, furious, tightened his fists and spat. "What did you just say? Say it once more. I dare you." Shihu had no fear. It was obvious that this team was nothing but a disaster, no different from Sun Yuri team. Shihu froze again, stunned at their defiant attitude. Does this team even have any reputation? Did they ever win any championships? Did they ever develop any professional players? Based on those facts alone, it was more than enough to determine the quality of this facility, wasn't it? And so all of them just stood there, agape. They were left speechless as they saw Chiho and Gina walk away. Sunji got even more angry and yelled, "Mizan Igu, you two, on the field. We're not finished yet. Rush up." But Igu had lost interest already. The game should finish by now. Zhangji, don't you have any shame in pulling this sort of hunt in front of Namjack? Sunji, seething with anger, snapped back. What are you talking about? The match is not over yet. Get in there and take the place of those two. Minjin and Igu, despite their anger, ignored him and left. I don't want it to get any worse. Igu said, leaving Sunji fuming behind him. Damn it, you guys. Sunji swore under his breath. Suddenly, a whistle sounded. Number 9, number 7 gets a red card. Get off the field at once. Sunji was even more outraged. What? What do you mean? Why a red card? It was just a little fight between teammates. The referee firmly replied, violent behavior or even attempting to strike another player along with unsuitable language, and you still want me to let it go? You were even going to attack the referee shortly. Ji attempted to fight back, but it was just a squabble among teammates. Why a red card for that? Suddenly, Su yelled out from the sideline. Soon, Ji, still obstinate, swished Sayu's hand away. What's your issue? Su, it's only a draw. The game isn't finished yet. Su then put a hand on the shoulder of Soon-ji and stated, if you don't wish to keep on humiliating yourself in front of Nam, Jack, I think you should close your mouth. You're no longer part of the team. Soon-ji stood frozen, as if he couldn't believe what he was being told. There was complete silence. He gave an odd, desperate smile, as if he couldn't accept the circumstances. Damn it, he swore. Everyone stared at him in confusion. Sunji walked away angrily and perplexed. Fine, I don't care anymore. I'm going. Who's scared of who? Ha! Someone shouted behind him. Sunji. Suwonji. He turned around with a scowl. That uniform is no longer yours, they said. Soon, Ji smiled mockingly. Right from the start, this place was never going to be yours. While in the bus, Chihu and Gina bumped into Seon-ho. How long ago did you arrive? Seon-ho replied nonchalantly, just when they were fighting. Chihu smiled, good thinking. Why don't you join Saran High? I'd advise you to head back to the training grounds. Su shouted at Leonu, no complaints about Suwonji quitting the team, right? Leonu fretted. Asked, you're not going to slander me behind my back. Are you at this? Leonu started to get uncomfortable. Why would I do that? There must be some misunderstanding. Su smiled enigmatically. I didn't say anything. Then with a chirpy voice, Su ran over to tell the team, alright, everyone clean up and prepare to resume training. Even Jianu replied respectfully, yes, sir. Although something didn't sit well with him, he corrected himself soon. Wait, I understand. Su, still in good spirits, said, good work, everyone, even IGU, must respect you guys for keeping it all together. I believe that guy really has what it takes to be our coach. Minjin did not share this opinion that guy you're referring to as a coach. When did you begin lecturing me like that? IGU promptly denied what, who said anything? Cha Don interrupted. Ultimately, it's the same vicious circle. Juno asked, what vicious circle are you referring to? Cha Don explained eagerly, if you don't pass, then others won't pass it back to you, so you don't pass to them, and that makes everyone angry. It's a never-ending circle. That is the situation of Hazahai currently. Then he added, with the arrival of Kong Maru, do you think he will be able to bring about a change at Hazahai? But Juna had already escaped a while back. What are you muttering about now? Let's go have lunch, Senior Cha Don, still clinging to his anger. Muttered, damn it, I'm finished for the day. Let's leave this place. In an almost deserted internet cafe, two men were playing a game. There you are. What do you think you're doing? Running away like that. I'm changing direction. You think I'd play it like that? Yep, that's how I roll. Oh, gold, huh? You're afraid, aren't you? Come on. Why aren't you attacking me? Seriously, you think you're gonna score on me? No way. The white-haired man was Suwonju, the president of Hazahai Soccer Club. Seated beside him was Seoul High School's soccer team coach. Hong Hachin, my gulip, has scored. The coach was cheering. The president, apparently upset to have lost. Hachin made a silly face to tease him. Wow. Chicken. What are you doing? I don't even get you anymore. So afraid that you're not even mad, huh? Music was angry, but could not do anything. Hachi Hun, who was smug, taunted him. You lost now. Hurry up and say it. Address me as Big Boss, as the president of Hazahai and the owner of a mid-level company. Music's pride was huge for him. Addressing his old childhood friend Hachi Hun, Big Boss was worse than getting COVID. Struggling. He spat out every word, but his pride would not allow him to do so. The coach, equally impatient, encouraged him, hurry up, but pride of music wouldn't allow him. So he began to beg, I can't do it. Let's play one more round, just one more. But Hatchin, grinning, responded, "Nope. Nobody's doing that. Music now desperate, beg, please, just one more match." Still. Hatchin refused flatly, "No way, you're just as dumb as my house cat." Music continued begging, "Just one more please." Hatchin, scoffing at him, replied, "I bet whether in a video game or in life, you'd still lose. Aside from money, what else do you have? Do you possess any strengths whatsoever?" Listening to these words, Music's anger reached its boiling point. "You son of a beggar," he turned to provoking. "So you're a member of the Haza High School Club or what?" Hatchin laughed loudly, seeming not to be affected at all. "You actually think you can compare Haza High to Seigan? Ridiculous," but Yuzig once more challenged him. "You're honing your abilities, aren't you?" Hatchin was silent for a moment before suggesting, "Alright, let's have a match. If I win, you must kiss my foot." Agreement without hesitation. Yuzi agreed. "See yous." Phone rang. He answered, "Hello." At the opposite end was Mr. Ju Sik. "Su, you still can defeat Golf High. Can't you?" Su had already lost to Golf High even before he read the message on his screen. Increasing even more angry, driven by his ire, he did not hesitate to respond. "Don't worry, I'll destroy them." Mr. Ju Sik included a warning, "If we lose, I'll have the team dismantled at the soccer team meeting room." Su told the team. "Everyone practiced hard today, next week we have a practice match. Take care of yourselves, because our rival is Seigan High School, and if we lose, the team will be dismantled." Everyone became silent. Leon, no, yelled, "What? What are you saying? How do we defeat Seigan High? We might as well disband the team already." But Suu kept calm. No, don't be discouraged," he uttered, which shocked Jianu. Su continued, "As long as I'm still around, there's no point to give up. I have a visa and I can proceed to Hamburg if needed, right? So whether or not this team vanishes tomorrow is irrelevant to me. This team will be dissolved next year anyway, it's just a matter of time. This team has been around for 13 years since its inception, but it has never received any awards or produced even one professional player. We haven't even operated as a true team. There's no need to continue it. It's simply wastage of time and resources. Going on further will just escalate the expenditure." Leon No Oran Shop added his 2 cents, "And you believe that is something we can rectify with our efforts?" Su went on, "But if we win Seoul High School next week, we'll have a new team room and an improved field. You can do it." Immediately after Su's moving speech, all of them yelled together, "Yes, we can." Dong Ho, Unk, Min Jin, Igu and Leonu, all their eyes burning with determination. Su gave a promise. "Let's endure that crazy president one more time. Within a couple of years, he'll be owing us the next day." Regretting Chihuahua Newswords, Su thought, "Do you know why they refer to that other team as a mess, a heap of trash? It's because you people are trash. That's why Leon No was infuriated. Those bastards. We can't let them treat us like that." The entire team was hyped, ready to train hard. "Let's train hard and give it our all, push ourselves to the maximum." But Sun Ho wasn't as excited. "I'll train my reflexes quicker," he said. "That's the kind of speed we need." The team strained with all their might, and Sun On watched everyone apparently realizing something. "Su, man, you're really turning this team around, aren't you?" Suddenly Chad and came looking for Su. "Su, I've planned for next year's expenses for the whole team, and now you're telling me the team may be dissolved. I never thought this would occur." Su smiled and said, "I was joking. Let's continue practicing." Su announced, "Now we're going to practice shooting." It was Sun Ho's turn. "Sun Ho, you're up. How are you going to shoot this one?" "Great. You looked both ways. Good job. Great decision." Su complimented, "No wonder they say you're a football genius." "Sun Ho, it was so easy, just place the ball in the goal." Even Igu had to recognize his talent. "Wow. That was an awesome shot. You even got it into the top corner. Really good." Kong Maru standing in amazement. Full of admiration. "Wow, that was tremendous. You're awesome." Now it was Maru's turn. "Maru, your turn. Your movement is fine. Now shoot," Su urged, but Maru's shot was awful, so bad. It was unbelievable. Su was furious. "Are you kidding me? Am I a clown?" To you feeling things were getting out of hand, Igu intervened to defuse the situation. "Alright, Su, let's relax." Su calmed down for a bit, but then Sunho spoke up, "Coach, I'm going to take a break." Su suddenly switched to a different tone. "Sure, take your time." He chirped good-naturedly, even making some space for Sunho to rest. Igu was uncomfortable. "Don't you think you're being over the top?" But Suu did not care. Who cares? It's all about the game. Anything's possible. His words, half in jest but sincere, struck a chord with the team's plight. Maru, having watched Brew, even more impressed with Su. Wow. He's so strong. Senior. Su is something special. Now Maru needed to return to practice. Maru, go for a header. Su urged. Maru leaped up, feeling energized by Su's previous words. He was sure he could score. But confidence by itself didn't make miracles. He totally missed the ball. Su lost his temper, yelling, "What are you doing? Do 2 laps around the field." No, do 5 laps. Later that night in the soccer team meeting room, Su stepped out of the shower and saw Maju doing something he shouldn't have. Why hasn't he already gone home yet? Su was wondering. And then suddenly someone called out his name. It was Sun-un. Su emerged from the house, attempting to sneak past him. But Sun-un paused briefly, and Su stood there quietly, listening. Finally, Sun-un spoke. "You were right. Having witnessed all of them rehearse today, I am able to see fire in their eyes, burning eagerness to grow. I trust you. Sun Su, forget about our defense." Su watched as Sun-un departed. "I'll get them in line." Sun-un gave an added nudge towards the younger players. "Let's begin our extra practice session. Shall we?" "Yes, senior," they replied with enthusiasm. Su smiled, but then his gaze drifted towards the conference room, thinking, why is the fellow still lurking around? It so happened, Maju was thrilled because he was going home with Juna. He was overjoyed, envisioning numerous positive things, believing I should speak to her more. He nervously looked at the door, asking himself, when is she going to come out? And then there she was, Juna, but she was accompanied by another person. A few minutes before, the scribbling on paper could be heard. It was discovered that Juna was practicing drawing comics. Sunho strolled over and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Oh, this Juna held the paper she was drawing on excitedly. "It's a comic." Sunho let out a deep breath. "Yeah, I see that it's a comic, but why don't you go home and draw? Why are you still here drawing late?" Juna spoke in a hushed voice. "My mom will kill me if she finds out." Sunho finally realized, "Oh, I get it now. So you want to become a comic artist or something like that?" Juna replied eagerly, "Of course, I'm going to create an iconic masterpiece." Seeing Juna's enthusiasm, Sunho joined in too. "Then let me give you a shoulder massage, future billionaire lord and money general." Upon hearing that, Juna was more excited about the path she chose. "Wow, that sounds amazing," but Sunho remained calm. "Of course, my relative is a comic artist too, although he's a bit eccentric." Juna, inquisitive, inquired, "Has he released anything yet?" Sunho, still ambivalent, said, "I don't precisely recall the title, but I believe it's fairly famous, something along the lines of Battlefield Chronicles." Juna, utterly flabbergasted what Sunho was taken aback by Juna's reaction. "Wait, isn't that Super Coach that I read every day?" Your relative brings that. Sunho, as usual, was wearing an air of nonchalance. "Yeah." Juna sprang up and began rubbing Sunho with enthusiasm. "I'm such a fan. The main protagonist is literally just a child, and although the story isn't particularly great, the art is amazing. You had to introduce me to him. I have so many questions." Sunho exhaled slowly. "I was planning to go visit him myself shortly." Juna, too enthusiastic, grabbed Sunho's neck. "Please, take me along with you. I'm on my knees." Sunho, feeling strangled, replied, all right, I heard you." Juna, in shock, inquired again, "Seriously, you're serious?" Sunho, in a matter-of-fact tone, answered, "Yes, seriously." The two of them departed happily, with Sunho gently stroking Juna on the head. "From this day on, address me Han-nen." Juna smiled, "Okay." Han-nen, walking together, Juna was full of excitement, saying, "This is great," but Sunho, being as usual, killed the moment. "You had too much dandruff." Juna was instantly enraged, shooing Sunho's hand away. "Hey, what did you just say?" Sunho taunted, "Perhaps I won't take you along either." Juna, panicking, mellowed her voice. "I was joking. Han-nen, let's go buy some canned stuff. He doesn't have money to treat us to." "Of course, I don't like freeloading," Sunho said. In the meantime, Maju stood there, powerless, observing the one that he liked, happily chatting with some other guy. He was consumed by grief, frozen in place, his eyes brimming with tears. Su noticed that Maju was upset and quietly watched for a bit before crying out, "Maju, come here?" Surprised? Maju answered, "Yes." Su wrapped an arm around Maju as if to console him and said, "Let's go for a special training session." Maju, having seen what had occurred, Maju messaged Juna's mom. "I don't think I can come today, ma'am." He had to postpone the family dinner with Juna's family. It was evening and the stadium lights had come on. Suu and Maju were the only ones left on the field for practice. Suu kicked the ball to Maju, and as the ball came rolling towards him, Su asked, "What is the meaning of passing the ball?" Maju paused before responding. Passing is when one player sends the ball to another player. Su, who looked happy, replied exactly. But when you pass the ball, the person kicking it is also sending a message with it. Maju was confused. A message. Suu continued, a pass takes two people, the passer and the receiver, between the two who decides the nature of the pass. Maju paused, and then said, it has to be the passer, no? Because if they don't pass, nothing happens. Su agreed, it is exactly a pass that happens because there's someone who passes the ball. But many ways to pass it aren't there. You can pass it right to their feet, or you send it ahead of them. Maju began sweating nervously. Responded, this is somewhat difficult to comprehend. Elder, observing Maju's puzzlement, Su chose to clarify with an example. Okay, let me give you an example. If you're dribbling the ball up into the other team's half, passing in this manner will not disrupt the flow of the attack, and if you pass like that, the receiving player will comprehend your purpose and follow the ball instantly. Also, if there are defenders on the opposing team blocking your way, you've got two possibilities: pass onto the player's feet directly or pass close to their feet, but watch out because the defenders are going to watch you, or maybe it is time to try to accelerate play. These types of messages can you send through your pass to your teammates. If you pass the ball and then suddenly switch and charge forward, you're unconsciously telling your teammate to make a 1-2 combination play with accuracy, instinct, or movement. One pass can have many various messages. Maju gradually came to realize it's not a straightforward pass, isn't it, he said, his tone tinged with melancholy. Su pressed on, so why do we pass the ball? Maju quickly came up with an answer, because the ball can be stolen. Su smiled, exactly, regardless of how hard you try to have the perfect pass, it doesn't count if you're short of something, the proper timing a pass at the wrong time either sends you offside or gets intercepted. Maju, rubbing his chin, reflecting, sighed, it's more complicated than I expected. Su went on, next time attempt passing the ball with an attached message dead like, when are you returning home? Or have you had your supper yet? When Maju heard this, he appeared to understand the idea. He understood that in order to accomplish something, you must do something or nothing will be done whatsoever. Su's walking away left Maju stranded, thinking. Football is not easy, Maju thought, and neither is life at the Sejong port. The ship was leaving, Juna and Sunho were aboard, prepared to go home. Juna smiled brightly, thanks today. Sunho, also smiling, replied, you owe me one. Juna teasingly waved her tablet. Thanks to you. I even got a free drawing tablet. It's so pricey, it would be a waste if not used. But Sunho, still unmoved, commented, it's not really free. He must want me to owe him something. Juna scowled, obviously not impressed. Oh, come on. Who would have thought that she clung to the tablet tightly, thinking about when her idol had presented it to her. He's a little out of the ordinary, but he's so awesome. Sunho caught himself looking at Juna. She was a stunning girl, shining like the morning sun with a face as radiant as daylight. She readily put her arm around him. This time I owe you big, she offered, making Sunho blush and freeze like a statue. Before they knew it, an elderly man who was sitting close by lifted his cane and rebuked them. Children these days, no sense of shame displaying your love in public. Go get a room somewhere else. Will ya both? Juna and Sunho F stood stock still in shock. The old man's wife softly touched his arm and whispered, dear, what is wrong with you? Are you jealous? The old man frowned, perhaps just a little. His wife responded softly, shall I take arms with you, then? Is that preferable? Juna, humiliated, jumped away from Sunho. The two stood in stiff silence. One moment passed before Juna dissolved the tension. I was just attempting to express my gratitude. An awkward silence surrounded them until the loudspeaker made their arrival at Hun Job Station known. The two stood firm as a crowd surged past them, dashing to catch the train before it left. Excuse me, you're in the way. Passengers yelled out. The passengers jostled and pushed one another, causing a fuss. Move to the side. Let me on. It's so packed. Sunho and Juna had to stand shoulder to shoulder as the train started moving. Sunho suddenly blurted out, hey, I like you. Sunho's face went bright red. Wait, who are you, crazy? Who confesses in a situation like this? Sunho, keeping his cool, laughed, just joking, relax. Did you think I was serious? Flustered, Juna stammered, what the heck is wrong with you saying such nonsense out of nowhere? When the train reached the next stop, the doors opened and Juna hurried off. You're insane. I'm going home. Sunho, still calm, replied, alright, take care. Juna stormed off, muttering to herself, clearly frustrated. Sunho observed her as she departed. Later at Juna's residence, she punched a stuffed rabbit angrily while muttering to herself, that idiot. What was he even saying? She continued punching the plush rabbit before lying down and hugging it. Suddenly, smiling to herself, she muttered, seriously, what a weirdo. The figurines on her shelf seemed to exhale in relief. Good things were made of plastic and not stuffing, otherwise we'd be next at Sunho's place. He was rushing wildly up and down his room, kicking pillows and blankets, then he fell to the ground, burying his face into a blanket. Why did I just say that? I can't believe that I said that out loud. He grumbled, obviously, irate. Then his mom appeared. Stop messing around and come eat. We've got roast duck for dinner. Sunho quickly stood up. Mom, did you season it well? Meanwhile, outside, the streetlights had come on. Maju was walking alone. His face filled with sadness. He remembered that day on the soccer pitch when Sunho scored that gorgeous goal. Remembering Sunho's good-looking face and how he faced Gianu courageously, Maju sighed in frustration, thinking he's truly too cool from me, lost in thought. Maju strode on thinking about the match at the soccer squad's meeting room. The CEO and Sun-on were planning. Sun-on elaborated. This will be our defense formation. Other than me, the rest are all first-year students. The usuals who played these positions are all gone now. The CEO listened attentively, with some concern. Do you think it'll work out? Sun-on slightly resigned. RASP, do we have another option? But the kids are quite good at listening, so in terms of general strength, this configuration may be more suitable. Su did not say anything else about the defense. Okay, that's decided on the defense. Now let's discuss our chief attackers. Because Sunho is ambidextrous, it's better to put him as the left winger, while Gianu will be striker. We require 3 midfielders, Kong Maru, myself and Aigu. Sun-on didn't completely say that's not quite right. Haven't you overestimated Maru? Su looked puzzled. Not at all. Why? Sun-on continued, both Minjiang and Minjiang can also play that role. Honestly, you're overestimating Maru. He's good at simple drills, but this time we're playing Segan High, he won't be able to cope with the mental pressure, you know that too, don't you? Sun-on added. Su, however, held strong. Minjiang won't do. Sun-on shocked. Asked, why not? Su replied, whenever Minjiang receives the ball, he passes it to only Sunji or Gianu. I don't know if it's because their attire is what, but his playing style is too predictable. This position is directly between the defense of the opponent and our midfield, the neutral area, where pressure is greatest. The most crucial aspect for a player in this position is to be aware of the positions of their teammates. They require outstanding awareness. Su went on, and I believe in our team, nobody has this kind of ability better than Maru. Maru is able to control the ball and move in the neutral zone. Only he can do it. That will make our whole team powerful. It can be the secret to our attack. Sun-on listened in silence, considering Su's arguments. That's my view, perhaps Maru will surpass all our expectations. Su agreed, noticing that Su's argument was valid. Sun-on decided not to continue arguing. If that's what you want, then okay. Su finished, if it doesn't work out, we can always substitute Maru with Minjiang. Afterwards, they went on talking about the strategy of the team. The only one who can play on the right wing is Suinji. Right. Sun Yuan expressed. Su kept quiet during Sagan High School. The coach spoke to one of the young players who was continuously showing up at the club. Listen, just because you come here doesn't equate to your coming into the team. Why don't you leave here every day listening to the hard words of the coach? The young player got down on his knees and begged, please, just take one try. It turned out that the boy had been coming to request permission to join the club, but the coach insisted. Look, kid, I don't have to listen to you now, stand up and leave. The coach then faced the team and yelled, alright, everyone warm up. Sunji, devastated, sat down on the ground in desperation. One teacher came with an irritated face, her tone strict. Stop causing trouble by coming here. Leave. Members of the soccer team who evidently did not like Sunji joined in. Damn it, he's here again. Send him away. 2 younger players anxious to oblige their seniors hastened over. Yes, senior. They pushed Sunji to the ground. One of the larger players yelled, if you ever show your face here again, I'll mess you up. Got it? Sunji, broken-hearted, could do nothing but bow his head. He walked to the corner of the street and sat silently by himself. A luxury car suddenly stopped and saw the person inside. Sunji quickly jumped up and chased after it, shouting, wait, manager. The man inside rolled down the window and snapped, damn it. Kid, it's time to end this nonsense. Do you really believe this is going to get you on the team? This isn't some TV show. You're just nobody with that. The man took off, and Sunji was left standing there, all by herself. He stood there in silence, contemplating, before returning home. The moment he entered, he noticed his mother had a guest visiting. Sunji, where have you been? Come greet me. The guest looked up at him and said, well, look who's home. Hi, Sunji. But Sunji remained silent. He kept his head lowered and directly proceeded to his room. His mother, confused, inquired, what's wrong with him? Sunji came into his room, dumped his backpack on the bed, and closed the door. He listened to the discussion from outside. "How is Soonji's soccer going?" The guest inquired. "He's still the same, but I'm sure he's getting better." His mother answered. "What do you mean?" The guest asked. "Didn't you say he studied abroad in Brazil?" "That's in the past." "Now soon," said Ji's mother. Soonji, he was so tired, fell on his bed. His mother and her guest kept talking, but soccer is all to him, and he's already in his 3rd year. All of his classmates already have their plans for the future. Isn't it too late to keep waiting for something? Are you just going to leave him like that forever? Since he was little? Soon, Ji had always been overshadowed due to his short stature and reserved nature, but luckily, his speed had already surpassed that of his age mates. That is what earned him a trip to Brazil to study and train alongside players of his age. But even in Brazil, his reserve still followed him, and it was difficult for him to mesh with others. While he was there, a Brazilian official had seen him. "Hey, Soonji, how did you learn to do that?" they had inquired. Soonji, blushing, said, "I learned it on the internet." The crowd around him applauded enthusiastically. "That's such a great samba move. This kid is great. So cool. He's like a real Brazilian. Is this kid the Neymar of Korea? This kid's a genius." 1 out of a million, the spectators were mesmerized with Soonji's flashy talents, and in due course of time, soon, Ji too started believing the hypes himself. He just began to try for flawless performances for his flash tactics. The whole world in contact with him continued to give awe to his brilliance, every other time telling you, "What's he up to now? Guess, but seems nice though." But on a real match scale, soon, Ji also lost interest. A pass this way, a pass that way. Years went by, 1 year, 2 years, and Soonji gradually became an outcast, a beast exiled from the herd. He waited impatiently in his quest to get an opportunity to prove himself on the pitch. Soonji played well, but his intention was not team play or gaining a common goal. Rather, he was showcasing his own ability. He started choosing to shoot himself instead of passing the ball. He became selfish, and whenever he got tackled or didn't succeed, his teammates no longer desired to pass to him. Later, Ji's aspiration to play alone isolated his teammates, and he found himself even more alone. Whenever Soonji demanded a pass, everybody was certain he would not pass it back. Therefore, no one passed to him anymore. That's when Soonji began to lose trust in his teammates. If the ball rolled over to him, there was no passing it. His teammates had become accustomed to this, thinking, "There he goes again, not passing without cooperation." Soonji slid further behind, sitting on the bench more often than playing. He eventually went back to Korea, but from then on, he stayed relegated to the lower levels. He sat and observed his old teammates go on to greater heights, one by one. Soonji grew to hate the rich, the well-connected and even the fortunate ones. He lost his trust in himself and promised never to believe anyone anymore. He pulled into a small shell, closing himself off to everyone one day in the soccer team's conference room. Chatin asked, "Maju and Juna, we're going to scout Seg in high school. Could you guys do us a favor by cleaning out Soonji's locker?" Chatin laughed, awkwardly, "Sorry to ask, but it would be a huge help." Maju, now standing in front of Soonji's locker, asked, "I just have to put everything into a bag." Just as Maju opened the locker, he saw a notebook, a training notebook. Interesting. He took it out and flicked through the pages. Gosh, this is where he has written down all his training regimens. Maju paused for a second. Wait, am I even supposed to read this? But he could not resist curiosity, and he started practicing. If you hold the ball near your back, you will have more time to defend in reverse direction, and counterattacks will be easier. If you angle your body a bit lower, you can dribble quicker. Oh, that is how he does it. Maju was fascinated and practiced some of the tricks penned in the notebook. But soon, he realized that he was late. "I have to rush and complete this." He thought, rushing to finish the task. That afternoon at the soccer field, someone came over to Soonji and said, "Soonji, your skills are really on another level. Now, are you ready for next week's game?" Soonji smiled hesitantly and said, "Yeah, I'm free." Suddenly, soon, Ji heard someone calling Sunju. He turned around instinctively and saw Kong Maru standing there, bowing. Soon, Ji approached Maru and asked, "What do you want? Why are you here?" Maru, stammering, handed Soonji a bag. "I brought this for you." Soon, Ji glanced at the bag with a smirk. "Is this how they're kicking me out?" He accepted the bag graciously and said, "All right, thanks." But Maru hesitated once more, adding, "Oh, and one more thing, I didn't mean to, but I read your notebook. I'm really sorry for snooping." Soon, Ji didn't seem too fazed. "Notebook? Oh, you mean the training notebook? Don't worry, it's fine." Maru bowed his head sincerely. "I learned a lot from it. I know I shouldn't have read it without asking, but I've learned so much from your notes. I think you're great." Soonji was a little taken aback. Maru went on, "You've always been such a great player. I'm sure you're the same wherever you are." Sunji sighed and smiled a little bit. Maru continued. "Also, the team has a practice game against Segan High scheduled. Everybody's been practicing so hard each day. I think if you were there, it would really help the team a lot. If we lose, the team gets dissolved. So, yeah, just wanted to inform you." Maru finished uneasily and went away, while Sunji stared at him as he walked off, thinking deeply. Segan High, eh? He looked down at the notebook in his hands, reflecting, I wonder what he discovered about this. It's been too long since I opened this up. He opened the notebook and read a couple of lines and whispered to himself, I actually did try really hard back then. He stood in silence, watching the sunset, considering, is there something else that can be done tomorrow? Slowly, Sunji walked to the soccer team meeting room, telling himself, I'm probably the first one to arrive. But when he entered, he was shocked to see the CEO sitting there. Before he could even say his greeting, the CEO interrupted him. Off. What are you doing here? Sunji, who was already tense, said, I just wanted to know if I could try again. The CEO glared at him in silence. Sunji, speaking earnestly, went on, I have nowhere else to go. I apologize for being wrong. I'll do anything you say. Forgive me. The CEO, upon hearing this, burst out laughing. Are you attempting to make me laugh? Stop wasting your time playing soccer and study, unless you want your life to be over right here. Sunji was shocked into silence by the CEO's words. The CEO continued, all you've done up until now is kick a ball around. It's time to stop. What have you achieved in the past 10 years? Sunji clenched his fists and bit his lip, trying to endure the harsh words. Still, he remained sincere. I promise to train hard. Please, just give me one more chance. The CEO stood up from his chair. You won't be any help to the team. You'll just make things harder for them. You've never wanted to listen to criticism or advice from anyone. You're burdened with insecurity and have a terrible attitude. The CEO's voice grew more serious. And no matter how hard you train, in the end, you'll never win. You failed in your last match with us. And now you come back, expecting me to forgive you and take you back? Sunji couldn't believe what he was hearing. But it was the harsh truth. His face showed clear signs of pain and helplessness, though the CEO seemed unaware as he coldly continued, Do you know what people call someone like you? Trash. A failure. Worthless. Defend yourself. The CEO raised his voice in a mocking challenge. But Sunji stood there, paralyzed, unable to respond, as if he had fallen into a deep pit of despair. The CEO, seeming to enjoy his discomfort, pressed further. Can't you think of anything to say in your defense? By now, Sunji was furious. His fists clenched tightly, teeth grinding. Finally, he shouted, What do you know about me? Ha! You arrogant jerk! You get to run around the field without a care in the world. You know nothing about me. Nothing. You don't know how hard I've worked, how much I've struggled training without the support of connections or money. You'll never understand the pressure and the weight on my shoulders after every match. I've done everything I can, given it my all, and of course you wouldn't understand that. As Sunji yelled, he remembered his time in Brazil. The clock had read 44 minutes and 58 seconds into the first half, and he had still been sitting on the sidelines, watching. The second half had started, 10 minutes and 32 seconds passed, and he was still benched. Finally, at 22 minutes and 35 seconds into the second half, the whistle blew, signaling the end of the match. His teammates celebrated together, arms around each other, while Sunji stood alone in the background, quietly watching them. The emotions from the past welled up inside him. His voice shook as he continued, nearly in tears. You have no idea what any of that feels like, you arrogant jerk. The CEO chuckled. All right then, he said, pulling off the cover from the board behind him. It was the roster for the upcoming practice match against Seoul High School, and to Sunji's surprise, his name was listed as a starter. If you can help the team win against Seoul High, I'll acknowledge your efforts and pride, the CEO said with a smile. Sunji couldn't believe his eyes. He collapsed into a chair, tears of joy streaming down his face. The CEO tossed him a uniform. Sunji caught it, and there it was. The number 10 on the back. With his name. Sunji. His teammates were already waiting for him behind the door. Come on, we've been waiting for you, Sunji. Let's start training. Everyone was standing outside the door, waiting for Sunji. He was filled with joy and enthusiasm. The team headed to the field for their running drills. Sunji had officially returned to the team. Vionu was right next to Sunji, smiling at him. And Sunji smiled back, thinking to himself, those Seoul guys have no idea what they're up against. Meanwhile, Kanazu was practicing as well. He glanced outside and saw Sunho and Yona laughing and talking together. Irritated, he turned away, lost in his own thoughts. I never thought the CEO would be this impressive, he mused. The day before, Cha had met Kanazu and told him, today you're going to meet Sunji, right? Just make sure to tell him about our match against Seoul High School. But be subtle about it. Maru had understood and followed Cha's instructions exactly. He thought to himself, that man sure is intimidating. In the soccer team's room, someone was standing by the official team board. It was Min Young. He muttered under his breath, damn it, there's definitely something going on. Night had fallen, and the field lights were on. Sunji was carrying a large bag when he noticed something. Maru was out on the field, practicing his shots. The ball flew but missed. Maru, looking around to make sure no one saw, sighed in relief. Phew. That was embarrassing. Good thing no one saw. Suddenly, Sunji's voice startled him. Why are you still practicing? Maru jumped, surprised that someone was still there. You're still here, he asked nervously. Sunji chuckled. It's late. What are you doing here? Maru, embarrassed, replied, I just wanted to work on a few things. Sunji laughed heartily. A few things? There's a lot to work on, not just a few. Maru, feeling down, said, yeah, I know. Sunji reassured him. Listen, you're not bad at all. In the last match, for a rookie, you were really impressive. Compared to others, you're ahead. You've already mastered the basic techniques like passing and shooting. Now, you just need to practice feeling the rhythm of the game, he continued. And you're starting in the friendly match against Seoul High. You got to make sure to pass to me. Got it? Maru was surprised and thrilled. Really? You want me to pass? Sunji, confident, replied, pass? I've never been much of a passer, you know. Maru, excited, said, then I'll teach you. There's a passer and a receiver. And you send a message with the ball. The most important thing is timing. They laughed and talked, unaware that Min Young had been standing behind them, eavesdropping on their conversation. The day of the friendly match at Seoul High Stadium had arrived. Back at Kong Maru's house, he was still asleep but suddenly woke up with a start. He rubbed his eyes, feeling anxious. I didn't sleep enough last night because I was so nervous. He stood up, looked in the mirror, and slapped his cheeks, saying to himself, wake up, Kong Maru. Today's the day of the friendly match. Seeing his reflection in the mirror, Maru felt a surge of happiness. I've really changed so much. He glanced at a family photo of his parents and himself holding a soccer ball, smiling. Do your best, Kong Maru. For the love of soccer. Maru opened the door and stepped out of his room. His dad, standing there, immediately raised a baseball bat. Who are you? A thief? Why are you coming out of my son's room? Maru, confused, stammered, huh? Suddenly, his dad smiled and sighed in relief. Oh, I forgot. It's Maru, our boy. He chuckled. I'm still not used to how much you've changed. Ah, of course, it's you. In the kitchen, Maru's mom called out, breakfast is ready. I've just set the soup on the table. Son, you have a game today, don't you? Make sure to eat before you leave, she reminded him. Maru happily sat down at the table. Wow, chicken stew, he exclaimed, eagerly grabbing a drumstick. His dad teased, hey, I like drumsticks too, you know. In the kitchen, his mom laughed. Let him have it just this once, dear. Maru grinned. Thanks, everyone. Let's eat. He began munching on the chicken, barely giving anyone else a chance. His dad, watching him eat with envy, said, come on, give me a bite too. His mom, now sitting down at the table, asked, why do you have to leave so early, son? Maru, mouthful of food, replied, I have to get there early to prepare. Otherwise, I'll be too full. His mom smiled. Be careful and do your best. Don't get injured, alright? His dad chimed in, yeah, do your best, but don't get hurt. Maru nodded enthusiastically. Got it, Dad. After breakfast, Maru said his goodbyes and headed out. I'm off now, he shouted as he tossed his soccer ball in the air and slung his backpack over his shoulder. Meanwhile, Zuna was waiting outside, calling Kanazu on her phone. I'm in front of your house. Let's go already. We need to get to the stadium. Over the phone, Maru's voice replied, oh, I've already left. Zuna was surprised. Already? You've left? Maru, sounding a bit hesitant, said, yeah, I wanted to get to the stadium a little earlier. Zuna replied, alright then, see you there. She hung up, puzzled. How did he get there so fast? I can't figure him out. Turning to Sunho, she said, let's go. Sunho, curious, asked, he's already there? Zuna nodded. Yeah, he's quick. Sunho, looking at Yona, asked, did you have breakfast? Yona shook her head. Not yet, why? Sunho smiled and pulled out a fancy box of chocolates, handing it to Yona. Here, for you. Yona was surprised. What is this? Sun Ho chuckled. Who knows, maybe it's something from a famous bakery or something. Some girls gave it to me. Yona, puzzled, asked, why would they give you something like this? Sun Ho, grinning awkwardly, replied, well, I'm good at soccer, tall, and, handsome. What can I say? He joked. So, what should I do with them, Zuna? But Zuna, clearly uninterested in Sun Ho's boasting, muttered, you talk too much. It's embarrassing. Give it a rest. As Sun Ho kept talking, he wasn't paying attention and accidentally walked into a streetlight pole. Thud. Meanwhile, Yona, happily eating the chocolates, didn't notice. Whoever gave me these has good taste, she said with a laugh. Sun Ho, now rubbing his head from the impact, called out, wait for me. But Zuna, unfazed, said coldly, can you be quiet for a bit? Not long after, they arrived at Seoul Station and met up with the rest of the team. Hey, everyone, Zuna greeted. The CEO, noticing that Maru wasn't with them, asked, where's Kong Maru? Didn't he come with you too? Zuna replied, I thought Maru said he was already here. But Chu, confused, asked, really? Zuna explained, he told us he wanted to warm up before the match. Chu, serious now, said, alright then. It's been tough having everyone travel by train, but since we couldn't use the school's bus today, we didn't have another option. And if we win this match, we'll get our own team bus. Can you do it? The team shouted in unison, yes, we can. With determination, the whole team marched forward. Ready to crush Seoul High. Let's do this. They soon arrived at Seoul High Stadium. Two people were already waiting. One of them was Suneo, and the other was Nasumi, a beautiful red-haired sports reporter. Someone handed her a coffee, and the man next to her asked, but why are we covering a high school soccer match today? We've got more important things on our plate. The reporter smiled and said, because this isn't just any high school soccer match. This is the guy who assaulted his coach twice. Not to mention, during the Olympics a few years ago, he stole a penalty kick from the designated shooter and cost Korea a win. And now, somehow, he's managed to land a professional contract with Harvard. Doesn't that smell like a juicy story to you? The man, clueless, replied, Senior, all I can smell is your cigarette smoke. Nasumi laughed, come on, let's get inside. Meanwhile, Chu's team had arrived at the stadium. Wow, so this is Seoul High Stadium? It's huge. But as they looked around, they realized the stadium was empty. None of the opposing team members had arrived yet, and the match was scheduled to start in an hour. Don't relax just because it's empty, someone said, rallying the team. Let's start warming up with everything we've got. Where's that determination? Let's explode with energy. The team was shouting, explode. Explode, while the CEO seemed distracted, still searching for something. Explode with spirit. We're going to win this. But the CEO was growing more concerned. Where's Kong Maru? Back at Haza High, Maru was sitting by the roadside, waiting for the others. Why hasn't anyone come yet, he wondered. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was the CEO, sounding anxious. Where are you? Maru replied innocently, I'm at the school's bus stop. The CEO, shocked, yelled, what? You're still at school? Confused, Maru said, but you told me to go to the school. The CEO, now furious, asked, why are you still there? Get to Seoul High right now. Maru, still puzzled, responded, but you said, take a taxi now, the CEO interrupted, angry. Just then, two large men approached Maru, covering his mouth. The CEO was still on the phone, shouting, Maru, can you hear me? Maru? Meanwhile, Ji-ho and Gina appeared on the scene. Looks like you're about to get wrecked, huh? Chadin, worried, asked, is Maru really still at school? What are we going to do? What should the team do? Meanwhile, Ji-ho and Gina left, disappointed. He didn't even say anything. What a letdown. Did we really just come here to hold the spot? Maru hadn't arrived yet, making the CEO very anxious. He called out to Min Young, you'll start the first half. Warm up. Min Young smiled, but it was a sinister smile. Got it, Senior, he replied, leaving his phone with his belongings, along with a series of equally suspicious messages. Don't overdo it. Just keep it subtle. The night before, Maru had been kidnapped while the team was showering after practice. Two players, on shop, had just finished showering. Ah, that was refreshing. Maru, weren't you going to shower? Hurry up, there's still room, they said. Maru replied, yeah, alright, as he put down his phone and headed to the shower. Just as he left, a message notification popped up. Min Young, hearing the notification, looked over at Maru's phone curiously. It was a message from Sun Siu, informing them that the school bus driver was sick and wouldn't be able to drive. The new plan was for the team to meet at Seoul Station at 9 a.m. the next morning. Min Young, glancing around to make sure no one was watching, grabbed Maru's phone and quickly deleted the message from the CEO. Let's just pretend this message never existed, he thought to himself. Later, Min Young went to a classroom where someone was solving a math problem aloud. We have 23 apples, then someone gives me 64 apples, and another fool gives me 23 more apples. Min Young approached two students sitting at a desk and asked, "Do you guys hate Kong Maru?" One of them, startled by the name, asked, "Maru? What about him?" It turned out these two were former members of the soccer team, Kim Jun and Kim Dan Rock, who had been kicked off the team. Min Young continued, "Weren't there three of you? What happened to the red-haired one?" Yoon, in a low voice, replied, "In trio, he lost it and now lives a completely different life." Dan Rock added, "That wasn't how he was meant to live. Maybe one day he'll come back, right? We still believe in him." Min Young, thinking to himself, "What a bunch of fools," then asked seriously, "But I'm talking about Kanazu." With a loud bang, one of them slammed the table in anger. John, furious, shouted, "Yeah, Kanazu. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be stuck in this academic prison." He ripped the book he was studying from in frustration, while Dan Rock joined in. "We should have made the team. We should have been playing soccer, not stuck here doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division." They started throwing their papers around in a fit of rage. Who cares about studying anymore? Who wants a life filled with nothing but numbers and letters? These idiots just want to play soccer to avoid school, Min Young thought to himself. John, still angry, asked, "Is there any way to get back at that jerk?" Min Young, calm, smiled to himself. John gritted his teeth and muttered, "All right. We need to make him pay." Seeing their anger boil over, Min Young egged them on. Enro gave up without teaching him a lesson, but now it's your chance to do it for him, he smirked as he thought. What a bunch of gullible fools. Later, the two former players, having kidnapped Kong Maru, sneered at him. "Thanks to you, we've been suffering in school, while you got to join the soccer team and have fun. Must be nice, huh?" But Maru, despite the situation, remained calm and unfazed, much to their frustration. Maru, trembling with fear, pleaded, "Please, let me go, there's an important soccer match today." One of the kidnappers, enraged, slapped Maru across the face. "Are you not getting the situation, idiot? Shut your mouth." Maru, in pain, couldn't even react before they stomped on his face. "None of this matters to us," one of them spat, kicking Maru hard in the jaw, causing him to bleed. "We don't give a damn." Maru, tied to a chair, fell to the floor, and one of them yanked his hair. "You're not going anywhere until the match is over, got it?" Meanwhile, at the Seoul Stadium, it was already noon. The principal of Haeji, Mr. Yuzuk, asked his assistant, "Hakchul, is it almost time?" The assistant, quickly checking the situation, responded, "Not yet, sir." Mr. Yuzuk, annoyed, muttered, "I won't go in until Hakchul is here." The assistant glanced out the window and spotted the coach, Hakchul, arriving. "He's here, sir," he announced hurriedly. The principal immediately straightened his clothes. "Let's go then." He rushed out to meet the coach. "The match is about to start, isn't it, Hakchul?" The principal greeted him cheerfully. But the coach, Hakchul, responded coldly, "Ask your son about that, you fool." He sneered, "Even if we start early, you'll still be kneeling in defeat before me." The principal, not fazed, laughed confidently. "You can keep bragging while you can still walk, but remember, if you lose, the soccer team is getting disbanded." He shouted to the players, "Understood?" The team, including Sunji, replied, "Yes, sir." But Sunji was irritated. "What is this guy talking about?" The principal, still boasting, continued, "You have to win, you hear me? You must win." The coach, tired of the principal's blabbering, retorted, "Shut up already, will you?" Suddenly, the coach noticed something. "Hey, Lee Chiho, Kim Jina, you two, don't step on the field today. Sit this one out." But the two players ignored him. "Come on, coach, don't worry, we're just warming up. We'll take it easy," they assured him. The coach, growing more frustrated, shouted, "You idiots." Another player jumped in. "I'm playing too, coach." The coach, shocked, exclaimed, "Shin Dongduk, you're here too? Do you realize the national tournament is coming up? What if you get injured? What then?" But Shin, brimming with confidence, replied, "I've got a solid body, coach. Just one game, it'll be fine." This silver-haired player was a senior from high school 2000 and a key contributor to the team. He added, "Some of the players on the other team caught my attention. I'm curious about them." The coach, nearly exploding with anger, muttered, "These guys." Meanwhile, Principal Yuzuk sneered, "So, who's really backed into a corner now?" Suddenly, someone called for the coach. "Coach! Coach!" Frustrated, the coach barked, "What is it now? Why are you here?" The person reported, "Sun Jujin has a commercial shoot this afternoon. Annoyed, the coach grumbled, how much does he even get paid for that? Sun Jujin, a first-year student and a rising star, was standing there with a confident smile. He's a star, coach. He shines on the field, and he's incredible on stage too, right, coach? The student teased. Hawk Shul grew even more frustrated. Seriously, who's the coach here? Yuzuk, continuing his mocking tone, said, life really isn't easy for you, huh? The coach, fed up, snapped, shut up already. The referee blew the whistle, calling the players onto the field. Chu was extremely worried and furious, especially because Maru hadn't shown up. Where is that fool? He thought. The referee blew the whistle again, signaling the start of the match. Meanwhile, back at Haza High, two large thugs were chatting with each other. Last time, I got caught smoking around this spot, one said. The lackey, unsure, responded, really? Is that so? Why is this guy at school today? He wondered to himself. The taller thug with green hair approached the storage room door, saying, whatever, let's just have a smoke. No one ever comes here. The black-haired thug obediently followed him inside. As the door opened, Yoon and Dan Rock, who were hiding, jumped in surprise. What the hell? Who's there? Yoon shouted. The thugs were also caught off guard. Yoon and Dan Rock, not realizing their disadvantage, threatened them, if you don't want trouble, get lost. The black-haired thug sighed, while the taller thug with green hair laughed loudly. In a flash, he grabbed Yoon by the leg. Yoon, shocked, was lifted upside down as if he were a toy. The thug shook him roughly. What did you say? Hand over your money, the thug demanded. Dan Rock, terrified, backed away quickly, astonished at the thug's strength. He's lifting him with one hand, he thought, panicking. Dan Rock stammered, what do you want from us? Who are you? The green-haired thug, grinning dangerously, replied, I'm the guy who's going to ruin you, you little punks. And by the way, your money is mine now. I'm just here to collect what's mine. Is there a problem with that? Meanwhile, at the previous training session, the CEO had briefed the team. Seoul High is made up of talented players. Each team member is an individual standout, possessing exceptional ball handling skills. They can coordinate, adapt, and change formations swiftly and with great flexibility, giving them full control over the match. Even without teammates nearby, they can eliminate any obstacles in their path, whether it's a forward, defender, or even the goalkeeper. In this match, what we need to attack is their confidence, push the formation high right from the start. As the match kicked off, Chu's team surged forward into the opponent's half, advancing rapidly towards the ball carrier to apply pressure. The Seoul High players looked confused as they quickly passed the ball to their teammates, but Chu's team was relentless, pressing hard and cutting off passing lanes. Attacking and applying pressure is the best defense, Chu thought. Yuzuk, from the sidelines, cheered excitedly, that's it, well done, that's my son. Hawk Shul remained extremely confident, and as expected, their strategy and aggressive push from a seemingly weaker team began to unfold. From behind, Gaonu rushed forward, catching the Seoul High players by surprise. He passed the ball back to their goalkeeper, signaling the start of their confusion. The goalkeeper, Bakwei Rang, a third-year student at Seoul High, passed the ball to Chiho. This was the moment Chu's team had been waiting for, time to press forward and apply pressure on the opponent's passes. Jiho watched, thinking, is this what they had planned all along? Do they think this is the World Cup final or something? Jiho prepared to send a long pass, but a player from Chu's team rushed in to intercept. Jiho managed to keep control of the ball, but the pressure was mounting. When the first midfielder fails, the second one will appear, Jiho thought, anticipating more challenges. Sure enough, Men Rang moved in, but Jiho smoothly passed through. With two midfielders down, the third would join the effort, yet even with three players closing in, Jiho laughed maniacally, even with three of you trying to stop me, you can't keep up. Despite the pressure, Jiho continued advancing, successfully dribbling past Mi Rang, revealing a flaw in Chu's strategy. If their tactics failed, it would spell doom for the team. Jiho dribbled past confidently and called out to Chu, I see all of you are here, so who's stopping my pass? Jiho quickly passed the ball to Dong Dong, but Sun Ji, racing up to block the path, was the only defender left. Everyone, fall back and defend. Chu shouted as his team scrambled to retreat. Chu was extremely anxious. During their previous practice, he had emphasized, in the first 5 minutes of the game, don't give them a chance to settle in. If we fail at that, our chances of winning drop to nearly zero. Dong Dong prepared to shoot, his demeanor calm and focused. His powerful shot flew right past Sunji, leaving him with no time to react. Who could have expected someone with such striking power? Sun Ji and the rest of the players were left in shock. It was a massively long shot. The Seoul High coach stood proudly on the sideline. Just run full speed ahead toward the ball, he muttered confidently. How are you supposed to keep up with their left wing? Chu wondered, eyeing Seoul High's lightning-fast left winger, Shituk Kim Donjin, who was sprinting down the field at full speed. Chad Den, worried, called out, but that pass was too far. Can he even reach it? Another player shouted, that's as far as he goes. Yuzuk, mocking them from the sidelines, laughed, what kind of sloppy play is that? Ha, it looks as ridiculous as your face. But the Seoul High coach remained calm. They're called geniuses for a reason. Yuzuk, surprised, turned his attention back to the field. Wait, what? With every bounce, the ball's momentum seemed to slow, and it started to roll back toward the attacking players. Dongdik was rapidly closing the gap. Within moments, Dongdik had the ball. The reporters, captivated by the match, whispered among themselves, it seems like this kid really does have genius running in his veins, huh, Shin Dongwook? Donggon struck the ball hard on the lower half, causing it to spin clockwise as it flew through the air. When the ball made contact with the ground, it began to roll backward due to the spin. No doubt, the world seems to favor players like him, Donggon thought with disdain. If you can't stop that ball, you're useless, he sneered as the defenders rushed in too late. Donggon, now in position, prepared to shoot. With no angle to score directly, he decided to fire the ball straight at the goalkeeper. The shot was powerful, and it blasted into Chu's net. Coach Hokchul proudly said, Shin Dongwook, this kid can control the ball's spin perfectly. Impressive, isn't it? Chu started to worry, and so did Sanan. Shiho asked Donggon, wanna celebrate? Donggon looked over and suddenly noticed Sunho walking by. Hey, aren't you the top scorer in the National Junior Soccer Championship? Donggon asked. Sunho, cold as ever, replied, so what? Donggon smirked, if I had been in Korea at that time, things would have been a little different, don't you think, lucky boy? Sunho, unimpressed, shot back, the only thing different would be that ridiculous eye color of yours, blondie. Furious, Donggon snarled, what did you say? Shiho quickly stepped in to defuse the situation. Come on, we're playing soccer, not picking fights. Meanwhile, Sunji stood in silence, watching the exchange. Gina approached him and patted his shoulder, saying, this is the level of play for geniuses. It may be harsh, but no matter how hard you train, you'll never be able to beat natural talent. The only thing you can do is accept that fact. Sunji looked toward the stands where people were talking. Is there no one who can play properly? I'm talking about Shin Dongguk. He's the best we've got. I'm looking for someone decent here, the reporter commented. It seems this game is turning out to be more difficult than we expected. Show me what you can do, Sun Ao. Do you have the skills to be accepted into Hearts, or is it just because of your father? Back at Haza High's storage room, the green-haired bully, Cha Ran Ran, lifted John Lux like a toy. That's it? That's all you've got? He then turned to Dan Rock. And what about you? How much do you have? Dan Rock, despite being scared, shouted back, what the hell are you talking about? Why should I give you anything? Don't mess with me. Cha Ran Ran, grinning menacingly, replied, so, do you want to play nice with us, or would you rather play nice with the cops? What are you going to do about it, kid? His voice dropped to a threatening tone. You think this is fun, don't you? Cha Ran Ran, a senior at Haza High, intimidated Dan Rock, who began trembling and said, I've only got 501 left. Cha Ran Ran smacked Dan Rock on the head. You idiot, don't joke with me. Seeing this, Maru intervened, I have a lot of money. If you let me go, I'll give it to you. Cha Ran Ran's eyes lit up with interest. Really? He quickly untied Maru, saying, sure, I'll let you go. Maru, complying, handed him the money. Here, take it, 101. Cha Ran Ran, pleased, said, well done, kid. Without wasting time, Maru dashed off. I've got to go now. This is urgent, he shouted as he ran away. But Junrong wasn't ready to let Maru go just yet. Hey, kid, hold on a second. If you just walk away like this, it doesn't seem fair, does it? How about you give them a beating? Maru, confused, stammered, huh? The black-haired thug smirked, thinking to himself, exactly what you'd expect from a jerk like him. Junrong continued, if you report to the school that you were assaulted, you'll also have to admit that I borrowed money from you. So, might as well beat them up, right? Maru, now sweating, refused, no need for that, I'm fine, really. I need to get to the stadium immediately. But Junrong grabbed Maru's arm, pulling him back forcefully. I told you to hit them, so just hit them already. Stop talking so much. He pressed Maru's hand against John's face, then ordered his lackey, record it. The lackey quickly raised his phone. Got it. Junrong forced Maru's hand into John's face again. What's with this gentle touch? Are you afraid of hurting them or something? Hit harder. Gripping Maru's hand tightly, Junrong made Maru punch John square in the jaw and then again in the face. Maru's mind flashed back to when Yoon had bullied him, kicked off a chair, slapped, trampled. Now, with Junrong controlling his hand, he was forced to punch John again and again. Maru's heart raced wildly, but he couldn't resist. Another punch landed on John, leaving him dazed. Maru stood there, helpless, as his heartbeat thudded louder in his chest. Junrong finally released him and said, "There, that's it. Now, finish the job yourself. I need the video as proof." Maru just stood there, frozen, unsure of what to do. Junrong, growing impatient, barked, "What's the hold up? Aren't you in a hurry?" Still in shock, Maru couldn't move. Junrong pushed harder. "What, are you planning to stay in here forever? I don't have all day, you know." Yoon, terrified, screamed, "Do what he says, idiot, before we all get beaten up." For some reason, the guy filming, the school's notorious bully leader, chimed in, "Hurry up and hit us, we don't have all day." Yoon and Dan Rock begged desperately, "Just hit us, man, I've got other stuff to do, you jerk. Why are you hesitating? Hit us before we all get in trouble." Maru, trembling with rage, clenched his fists tightly, veins popping, his heart pounded even harder, recalling all the times he'd been kicked, punched, and dragged by his hair, being kidnapped out of nowhere when he had a crucial game to attend. The pressure from the CEO to get to the match weighed on him. In a burst of fury, Maru unleashed a punch straight into Soon's face. The others cheered excitedly, "That's it, you got it." Dan Rock also took a hit and stumbled to the ground. Despite their pain, they were oddly pleased, laughing through the discomfort. "Yeah, that's the way, they conned Maru." Maru stood there, panting heavily. Junrong turned to his lackey, "How's the recording?" The lackey gave a thumbs up, "Perfect." The thugs left the scene, smugly saying, "Just remember, nothing happened here today." Maru's heart was still pounding erratically. He looked at his hand, then down at Dan Rock and Yoon. His friends rushed over, calling out, "Maru, are you okay? Yoon is still looking for you." When they saw Maru, they were shocked. "Maru? What?" Maru, confused, stammered, "What?" His friends stood in stunned silence. Curiosity got the better of them, and they rushed into the room. What the hell just happened here? But Maru, in a hurry, muttered, "I'm late. I have to go now." As he ran, he asked, "What time is it?" One of his friends checked his watch. "It's 10:41. Maru slowed down, then stopped, frozen in place. His friend asked, "What's wrong? Aren't you in a rush?" Maru stayed silent. The match started at 10:30. "I'm too late," he said, sinking to the ground, tears streaming down his face. "It's all my fault. But I just wanted to play soccer." Suddenly, the roar of a motorcycle echoed in the distance. The bike screeched to a stop right in front of Maru. He looked up to see a familiar face, a red-haired rider with a radiant smile. "Get on," the rider urged, removing his helmet. "I'll take you to the stadium through a shortcut. You'll be there in 30 minutes. If not for the first half, then at least for the second. You need to be on that field." On the way, another young rider drove a car happily following directions from his GPS. "Turn right, go straight, and you'll arrive," the GPS voice said. He grinned and whistled to himself, mumbling, "Turn right, then straight ahead." But glancing into the rearview mirror, something odd caught his eye. A whole fleet of motorcycles was following him. One of the bikes sped up, leading the way as the rest cleared a path. Maru's friend shouted, "Don't let these small things hold you back, Maru. Push forward." Sitting on the back of Min Trio's bike, Maru asked, "Why are you helping me?" Min Trio stayed silent a moment before responding, "At first, I really hated you. I thought I was kicked off the team because of you." Maru listened intently, staying quiet. "But I played soccer my whole life. It wasn't necessarily because I was tired of chasing after the ball. Somehow, I ended up on the path I'm on now. And now I'm working." Min Trio continued, "I never thought things would turn out like this. Back then, I didn't give up, but I also didn't give it my all. I didn't do anything, really. It was because I didn't want to let go of the sport I loved." He laughed softly. "Turns out I was weaker than I thought. But then you showed up, this rookie, and I got kicked off the team. My pride was shattered. And through that, I realized something about myself. I'm good at cooking." Min Trio shared honestly, remembering moments at the market buying ingredients, watching chefs prepare dishes, cooking with his own hands, tasting his food, feeling pure happiness from the fruits of his labor. "Thank you, Kan Maru," he said sincerely. Min Trio sped up, making a sharp right turn as he continued, "I can finally let go of soccer with a lighter heart." As he revved the engine, Maru's friends shouted after him, "Go! Get Maru there in time." But suddenly, red and blue flashing lights appeared, a police car tailing them, sirens blaring. "All of you, stop right now," the officer yelled through the speaker. But they didn't stop. Min Trio shouted back to Maru, "Don't let go. Hold on tight." Maru clung to Min Trio as the bike sped up. Behind them, the other students had already been caught. "Please, just let us go this time," they pleaded with the officers. "We're just high school students." The police officer wasn't having any of it. "That's it, you're all coming in." Meanwhile, at Seoul High Stadium, the score was already 3-0 in favor of Seoul High by the 20th minute of the first half. Shin Dong-guk sent a long pass to Lee Ji-ho, who was being closely marked. But Ji-ho quickly passed the ball through, sidestepping Ran Sanho with ease. Sanho, out of breath, could only watch as Ji-ho sprinted past him. Ji-ho then sent a perfect cross, which Kim Dong-gon headed into the net, sealing yet another goal. Hasa High was now in deep trouble, having conceded 3 goals, 2 of which started from Shin Dong-guk's deadly passes. They needed to mark him tightly and drop their formation back to stop him. "We have to shut him down," the coach muttered. The coach called over Ji-ho. "They're falling apart. I heard their goalkeeper is just a first year, and this is his first real game at the high school level. He's probably terrified by now." "Got it?" Ji-ho nodded, understanding the plan. The Hasa High defense let their guard down for just a moment, and Ji-ho seized the opportunity. He aimed high, sending the ball soaring before it dipped into the net, another goal for Seoul High. Despite their best efforts, Hasa High continued to attack, but there was a problem. Lee Min-young's passes were becoming increasingly unreliable. Distracted, he kept searching for his senior, Seonwo, but Seonwo was tightly marked. Min-young, growing more anxious, thought, "What am I supposed to do?" The CEO yelled from the sidelines, "Stop hesitating. If you can't find someone to pass to, send the ball back to me." Min-young's indecision had already cost them dearly, contributing to their 3-goal deficit. Ji-ho walked over to Sanho and patted his shoulder. "Is that all you've got? I'm a bit disappointed." Sanho stayed silent as Ji-ho walked away, muttering, "You're still playing at a junior high level." Sanho stared intently at Ji-ho's retreating figure, deep in thought. The CEO tried to rally the team, shouting, "It's not over. We've been practicing for this. It doesn't matter if we're down a few goals, stick to the plan, play the way we trained. That's all we can do." Sanho remained quiet as the referee's whistle signaled the continuation of the match. Cho's team pushed forward. Central midfielder Shin Young-soo sneered, "They should just give up, they still seem pretty energized, don't they?" Dong-guk, full of confidence, replied, "Let them try." The CEO passed the ball to Don-chi, who took a moment to assess the field before deciding to pass to Sanho. But someone was trailing behind Sanho, so he quickly passed it back to the CEO. Defensive midfielder Jang In-hand was already closing in on the CEO. "You think I'm going to let you move freely?" he challenged. Suddenly, Chu stopped and pulled the ball back behind him, making it seem like he was about to dribble backward. But Jang In-hand wasn't fooled, staying vigilant. "You're not tricking me with that." However, Chu swiftly changed direction, moving the ball away from Jang In. Spotting Sanho in position, Chu signaled and quickly passed to him. Sanho was ready to receive it. Chu thought to himself, "It's about to work, the play we planned for days before the match." Before the game, the CEO-led team had carefully devised their offensive strategy, attack from the wings. The 2 wingers would pull the opposing defense wide, creating space in the center. Ai Maru and Ga Anu would form a triangle with the wings, driving forward together. Chu had explained, "We have players like senior Sonu and Sanho who can break through defenses with individual skills. Whenever there's an opening, we go for it." He continued, "But Sonu, Maru, or Ai will always stay central during the attack. If one of our wingers gets the ball, the 4 of us immediately rush to the opposite side, forcing their defenders to panic and close in on us. The moment they do, Suwonzi, on the opposite wing, will sprint toward the open space." Chu had pointed out that Sanho's cross or shot would be key. Who's going to get there in time to stop that shot or intercept that cross? They knew that when individual skills couldn't outmatch the opposition, exploiting tactical strategies like this was crucial. The plan Chu outlined relied on flawless execution, only then could they score. In decisive moments, we must stick to the plan. Back on the field, Ji-ho rushed toward Sanho, who stayed focused. The rest of the team was already in position, forming the structure they discussed. Gina, observing the play, noticed Suwonzi suddenly sprinting in the opposite direction, and a hint of doubt crossed his mind. Is this just a decoy? He wondered. Ji-ho was now face to face with Sanho. "Come on, let everyone see what you've got, Sanho. Show us the skills that earned you the top scorer title, or are you going to shrink back like a turtle and save yourself from embarrassment?" Sanho pretended not to hear the taunts. He dribbled past Ji-ho and attempted a pass to avoid being surrounded, but it wasn't a good one. The pass was way too long. Cha-don, watching anxiously from the sidelines, muttered, "Is he losing his focus just by standing next to Lee Ji-ho?" Meanwhile, Juna was frantically calling out, "Maru! Where are you, Maru?" Ji-ho chased after Sanho, closely observing every move. That pass is too deep, he thought. Even if you manage to get the ball, taking it from you will be way too easy. Sanho managed to catch up just as Jiho was about to close in. Surprising everyone, Sanho released the ball backward. What's happening? Jiho thought, stunned, as Sanho slipped behind him. The coach, watching intently, saw the play unfold. Chadon, overjoyed, exclaimed, yes. We've broken through their defense. Even Juna was taken aback, whether by the impressive play or just the sight of Sanho, it was hard to tell. Chu sprinted over, yelling, great job. Suwenzi was now in position, and Juna was chasing him closely. Juna, the only player running in the opposite direction, was preparing for a surprise attack. I can't let my guard down for even a second, he thought. Suddenly, Sonu arrived, using his large frame to block Juna. Caught off guard, Juna blurted, what the hell? Who plays like this? Sonu, with a sly grin, replied, oops, sorry. I guess I'm just a bit too big for the field. Now frustrated, Juna called out, ref, there's a foul here. I want to complain. Jiho's voice cut through the tension as Sunji rushed toward Sanho, who was still deeply focused. But Sanho's mind wandered, recalling Donggon's earlier words, if I had been in Korea back then, things might have turned out differently. Lucky boy. He also remembered Chiho stealing the ball from him the moment he fell and Chiho's biting remarks, is this all you've got, Sanho? You're disappointing me. Your skills are still stuck at the junior level. Now, with the ball at his feet, Sanho raised his leg high. I'll show them, he thought, rage bubbling inside. Shut up, all of you. He unleashed all his pent-up frustration into a powerful shot. The ball rocketed toward the goal, straight at the sole goalkeeper. Suzy was stunned. What the hell was that? The CEO couldn't believe his eyes. Why? Why did he? Sonu, speechless, stared at the ball's trajectory. The sole goalkeeper, caught off guard, froze for a moment. The ball was moving too fast, no time to react properly. His only option, block it with his face, and that's exactly what he did. The ball slammed into the goalkeeper's face, but somehow, he kept it out of the net, securing Seoul's goal. Sanho stood there in disbelief, unable to believe his powerful shot had been stopped. The ball soared high into the air. Ianu and CEO braced themselves to head it, but from a distance, the goalkeeper leapt up and snatched it out of the air. Counter-attack, he shouted, his face swollen and nose bleeding but filled with pride. I'm not like that first year on your team, kid. CEO, frustrated, muttered, damn that's Sanho. First, we need to get back on defense. Everyone, fall back. Chiho approached the goalkeeper, playfully knocking him on the head. Good job, Oren, but remember, this is just a practice match, so relax a little. The goalkeeper, still shaken, replied, yeah, got it. Chiho then ran over to Sanho, ruffling his hair. Still managed to keep the ball and get a shot off, huh? Too bad the goalie saved it, though. Sanho grunted in frustration, angrily brushing Chiho's hand off. Chiho continued to provoke, is that really all you've got? Sanho didn't respond and walked away silently. Suzy watched every move he made. Meanwhile, with Kim Dong-gon's counterattack, the score widened to a 4-goal lead. Seoul High players erupted with cheers and chants, Dong-gon is the best. As expected, number 1. Sanho stood facing Dong-gon, who towered over him. Sanho seemed smaller, outmatched, but remained composed. What do you want? Sanho asked. Dong-gon smirked arrogantly. Oh, feeling a little tense, aren't we? So, Sanho, who's number 1? You or me? Suddenly, his tone grew serious. Let's settle this here and now. Useless, he mocked Sanho, what a shame, huh? Before Sanho could react, CEO's voice rang out across the field. Sanho, do you think this match is just a joke to you? Can you take this seriously for once? Is it really that hard? Furious, CEO stormed toward Sanho, but teammates rushed in to hold him back. Calm down, we're in the middle of a game. But CEO was boiling with rage. Do you realize that because of your selfishness, all our efforts are going to waste? You're ruining everything. Why didn't you pass the ball? Do you find this fun? Why didn't you follow the strategy we discussed? Tell me. Dong-gon, seeing the chaos, sighed in frustration and walked away. What a waste of time. This team is hopeless. Sanho frowned, disheartened by the arguing. He glanced at the stands, then at the scoreboard. This team is going to be dissolved soon anyway, he thought. Might as well just rely on myself. At the 40th minute of the first half, Ha Jia mounted an attack. Dong-gon rushed toward Sanho, and Shu yelled, Suzy, pass the ball. Dong-gon, sensing danger, focused intently on Suzy's movements. Is he going to pass? No, that's a fake. Suzy skillfully dribbled past Dong-gon, escaping pressure. CEO grew anxious. Suzy could have played it safe, but why was he taking such a risk? The crowd buzzed, impressed. Number 11, huh, someone in the stands muttered. Which middle school did he come from? Cha Dong cheered from the sidelines. Go, Sanzi. You made it past one of their players. Show them we're not weak. In the stadium, Sanho continued dribbling expertly. CEO yelled, don't hog the ball, Sanho. They're closing in, pass it to me and move into position. Hyan Shop sprinted in from behind. I'm right behind you. Sanho took a deep breath, calming himself. Stay calm, stay in control, he reminded himself. With quick, precise footwork, Sanho dribbled back and forth, then suddenly stopped. The opposing players, caught off guard, let their guard down for a split second. That was all Sanzi needed to break free. Sanzi moved forward with the ball. CEO was nearby, watching closely. Don't overdo it and lose the ball in a stupid way, pass it inside, CEO warned. Cha Dong, still on the sidelines, worried. This isn't looking good. It seemed Sanho was slipping back into old habits, no longer listening to anyone. Sanzi continued to hold onto the ball, now face to face with Gina. Gina sneered, what's with the serious face, kid? But Sanzi smirked confidently, ignoring the taunt. CEO rushed over, shouting, Sanzi, pass it already. Even if you get past one or two players, it's useless if you don't score. But Sanzi brushed him off, trapping the ball between his feet and flicking it into the air in an audacious move. It was wild, a perfectly executed curved shot. Sanzi sprinted after the ball, thrilled, thinking, yes, I did it. Get ready to chant my name, Ho San-ri. But his celebration was cut short. Out of nowhere, Kanchu intercepted the ball. Gina's voice dripped with sarcasm, dribbling is a means to score, not the goal itself, you idiot. And another thing, learn to trust your teammates. Without hesitation, Kanchu booted the ball right into Sanzi's face. CEO, worried, muttered, this isn't good. The ball flew high into the air. Donggon was already in position, ready to take control, but CEO dashed in from behind, blocking the pass. CEO managed to gain possession, thinking to himself, before the first half ends, we need to regain some momentum. But just as CEO prepared to make his move, Wei Rang screamed from the back, stop him. Don't let him shoot. CEO was about to take his shot when, out of nowhere, Sanho came charging in from a distance, blocking CEO's attempt. The sudden intervention left CEO completely stunned. The center of the field was wide open, with no defenders in sight. This was the perfect chance to reduce the deficit. Ronaldo, who was running alongside Sanzi, shouted, Sanzi, pass it here, buddy. A golden opportunity opened up right in front of Hara High's players. Now, pass the ball. But Sanho pretended not to hear. He took the shot himself. The ball ricocheted off the post. Damn it! Lianu was baffled. Why did he do that? The ball rolled away, and CEO shouted, Sanho, get the ball. Sanho sprinted toward it but gradually slowed down, eventually stopping altogether. He just watched as the ball rolled out of bounds. CEO, confused and frustrated, yelled, Sanho, what are you doing? Why didn't you chase after the ball? Sanho stood silent, disappointed. Even if I get the ball, what's the point? He thought. CEO, now feeling helpless, thought, but still, you should have tried. The first half ended with a score of 4-0. Frustrated, CEO lashed out at Sunji, couldn't you pass the ball, even just once? We've tried our best, and thanks to you, it's all gone down the drain. Sunji, embarrassed, turned away in silence. Then CEO turned his anger toward Min Rang, and you, Min Rang, you should have run to block that ball. What were you doing just standing there? Couldn't you defend more aggressively? Finally, CEO turned to Sanho, but before he could finish, Sanho abruptly declared, I'm done. I'm not playing anymore. CEO was stunned. What did you just say? Sanho walked off, leaving everyone shocked. We're going to lose anyway, so what's the point of trying so hard, he said as he walked away. CEO stammered, unable to comprehend Sanho's words. Jiho, watching from the sidelines, sneered, so, in the end, that's the extent of his so-called talent. Gina joined in with a mocking laugh, ha, I knew he didn't have it in him. Jiho added, I barely taunted him, and he's already given up. Pathetic. Someone else chimed in, hey, where's that other kid? Why didn't you let him play this time? What were you thinking? Jiho turned to the coach, Coach, let the first-year students play now. The coach raised an eyebrow, everything's going well, right? Suddenly, he gave them all a knock on the head. You guys are in your final year already. Act like it. Got that? Jiho, surprised, looked up and then suddenly said, actually, never mind, coach. I've changed my mind. The coach was taken aback and followed Jiho's gaze. What's going on? A figure was sprinting toward the field, breathing heavily. It was Kanmaru. He had finally made it just in time. Out of breath, he apologized, "I'm sorry I'm late." Min Rang was shocked. "What? Why is he here?" CEO was also surprised. "Kanaju?" Juna exclaimed, "Maru, you made it." Everyone was deeply worried about Mayu. "What happened to you? Mayu, what's going on with your face?" Yona ran over to Maru, concerned, and reached out to examine the bruises on his face. "What happened to these bruises, Mayu? What happened to you?" But Maru pulled away coldly, muttering, "I'm fine." CEO, noticing Maru's condition, asked worriedly, "Can you really play like this?" Maru quickly took off his jacket and replied, "Yes, I'm ready." As he stepped onto the field, his heart pounded in excitement. What is this feeling? He wondered. Suddenly, CEO called out, "Min Rang, Kanmaru is taking your place. You switch over to Sanho's position." "Got it?" Min Rang, clearly upset, reluctantly agreed. The referee's whistle blew, signaling the start of the second half. Min Young, now playing in Sanho's position, muttered angrily under his breath, damn it, what the hell does that newbie have that I don't? I don't care." Suddenly, someone yelled, "Min Young, the ball." Snapping out of his thoughts, Min Young realized the ball was coming toward him but hit him before he could react. Two Seoul High players were charging up the field and Min Young, feeling bitter, thought, "I'll show them that I'm not like that rookie, there's no way I'm letting that jerk take my spot." Frantically, he searched the field, "Where's Ianu? Where's my teammate?" CEO shouted, "Stop hesitating, pass it to anyone, just pass." Min Young, still flustered, responded, "But I don't see anyone to pass to, who should I pass it to?" Suddenly, Maru rushed up, shouting, "Pass it back to me." Min Young, though reluctant, thought, "Damn you, Kanmaru," but he passed the ball, just this once, he thought. Maru expertly took control, dribbling past the defenders and freeing Min Young from being surrounded. Shiho sprinted over to Maru, cheering, "Good job, kid, nicely done." Maru then passed the ball to CEO. With Maru now on the field, CEO seemed to relax a bit more. "Good work, Maru," but just as CEO gained possession, a Seoul High player was charging in from behind him. Chu passed the ball to Maru, Maru received it, the ball landing right at his feet. With Maru's presence, Shiho began to feel uneasy. Ever since this kid showed up, their pace has increased significantly. At this rate, I won't be able to keep up. Suddenly, Maru shot the ball without even stabilizing it, catching Shiho completely off guard. What? He shot directly without settling the ball first. In just a moment, Maru had grasped the positioning of every player on the field. This guy really is something else, completely different from that other player. Meanwhile, Sinho, having already showered, sat resting. Juna noticed Sinho and quietly remained by his side without saying a word. On the field, the game was getting intense. Chadon suddenly stood up in excitement, "No way, the ball is heading straight for Suunji's feet." Suunji has the ball. Gina faced off against Suunji, "We meet again, you jerk." But Suunji didn't react. Just then, he heard someone call out, "Suunji, pass the ball." It was Maru, sprinting towards him despite the injuries on his face. Suunji recalled their conversation a few days ago on the soccer field. Maru had asked him curiously, "Why don't you pass the ball?" Suunji had stayed silent, but Maru continued, "It's clear from your training notebook that you wrote about how attacking becomes easier when you can pass the ball fluidly." Suunji hesitated and said, "It's because I'm afraid." Maru remembered what Suunji had written in his notebook, "I'm afraid of passing the ball, afraid that once I pass it, no one will pass it back to me." Maru pondered for a moment and then spoke up, "How about this? No matter what happens, even if someone takes the ball from me, just pass it to me. I'll take responsibility and pass it back to you, Suunji. Trust me." On the sidelines, Chadong was excited, "Suunji has the ball, what's he going to do?" Then, unexpectedly, Suunji passed the ball. After the pass, Suunji sprinted ahead, leaving Gina standing in disbelief. Suunji had placed his full trust in Maru, remembering Maru's words, "No matter what happens, I'll pass it back to you." He ran forward like a rocket, ready to support Maru. Right then, Maru made a perfect pass. Suunji moved quickly, leading the ball back, which left Gina furious. "What the hell, that jerk tricked me." Gina shouted, "He's bringing the ball to the center, stop him." Maru kept pushing forward with everything he had. Mark player 12, he's going to pass that way. Min Rang, full of envy and frustration, thought, "Damn that Kanmaru, let's see what tricks you've got up your sleeve this time." Maru stayed focused, running with all his might. Suddenly, he turned and made a direct pass, right to Suunji. It was a perfect chance, and only Suunji was in position. The Seoul goalkeeper, full of confidence, readied himself, "Where do you think you're shooting? No matter where you aim, I'll stop it." Seoul's team, anxious and rushing, chased after Maru. "Number 11, hurry, block player number 18, someone shouted. Suddenly, Suunji passed the ball to Maru. What, is he really passing again? Seize the opportunity. Maru kicked the ball directly towards the goal. It flew straight in. CEO, Min-young, Chiho, Sanho, and Juna all were stunned. The coach of the Seoul team commented, "Wow, seems like the kid who just came on is quite interesting, huh?" Meanwhile, Mr. Yuzuk was hurrying away with his assistant Hong Hashan, not paying attention. "Let's get out of here before we embarrass ourselves," he said, and the two of them quickly ran off. Suddenly, they heard loud cheers. Mr. Yuzuk turned back to see what was happening. "What's going on? What happened?" he asked. The coach replied, "The new kid just scored a goal." Hearing that, the chairman was excited. "Great, well done, kid. Go, Hara High School, keep it up." However, the coach remained calm, saying, "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The score is 4-1, that's not a small gap." Maru picked up the ball and walked away as the Seoul team stood in shock. He shouted, "We can still win this game." His goal gave his team a newfound strength. Min Rang, though reluctant to admit it, begrudgingly thought, "Damn, that kid is cool." Seeing this, Sun-un was fired up. He turned to Kanazu, the rookie, "Every time I look at you, you fill me with energy." He then turned to the defense, "What, are you just going to leave Kanazu on his own? Move up and support him. Don't be afraid, I'm here to give you wings to fly." Outside, Chadon was curiously interviewing the Seoul coach. "Coach, how do you feel about your team's goal being shaken by such a young team like Hara High?" The coach thought for a moment and calmly replied, "If the opponent's defense can score one goal against us, we'll respond with at least twice as many." He didn't even let Chadon finish the question. "Thanks, coach, for your answer," Chadon started, but the coach suddenly grabbed him by the neck, startling him. "Hey, I was just joking, coach." Chadon gasped. The coach laughed heartily, "I was joking too, hee hee." After Hara High's attack, Seoul High School would need to be more cautious. Lee Chiho was going all out, dribbling the ball towards Hara High School's goal. Mi Rang would not let him pass easily, and in terms of stamina, Don Chi wouldn't let him carry the ball further. Hearing this, Don Chi quickly rushed in to block the ball, but Chiho smoothly dribbled past them both. He was now advancing comfortably. Donghun stood frozen in worry, while Sun-un yelled in frustration, "What are you doing standing there like an idiot? Get in and steal the ball." Donghun stammered, "Why yes," Sun-un anxiously reminded him, "Stay focused." Chiho was looking for someone to pass to, and from afar, Dong Guoyoke was approaching. Chiho decided to pass to Dong Guoyoke. Sun-un seemed to anticipate the opponent's strategy. Chiho quickly passed the ball, and it flew straight to Dong Guoyoke's feet. Confidently, Dong Guoyoke took a direct shot. Seoul's team needed to stop him immediately. The ball was flying straight towards the goal. Would the goalkeeper manage to block it this time? Suddenly, Sun-un rushed forward and used his face to block the ball. The ball hit his face and flew high into the air. Dong-duk, watching, calmly remarked, "That must have hurt." The ball was coming down. "Hurry, grab that ball." The goalkeeper was incredibly worried for Sun-un. "Senior, are you okay?" he asked. Sun-un, his face already bruised, turned around and replied, "If the ball flies in front of you, under no circumstances should you let it get into the net." The goalkeeper, looking at Sun Yuen's battered face, was alarmed. At that moment, Senior CEO had possession of the ball and passed it to Senior Seonwoo, but Seonwoo was tightly marked by Seoul High's defense. Suddenly, Mi Rang dashed forward as Senior Seonwoo pushed ahead. Seeing this, Seonwoo quickly passed the ball to Mi Rang. The Seoul High defense had advanced too far up. Now was the perfect opportunity to counterattack. Mi Rang received the ball and thought to himself, "This chance, I absolutely cannot miss it." Senior Suunji was being tightly marked, and so was Senior Jelnu. As for Kanazu, he wasn't in a good position either, so Mi Rang couldn't pass to him. "Alright, time to break through," he thought. "I just need to get past this one guy." With that, Mi Rang directly dribbled the ball towards the goal, speeding up to dodge the Seoul High defender. The Seoul High players were getting anxious. "He's going to break through," they shouted. One player hurriedly slid to block Mi Rang's run. Min Young was taken down, falling hard to the ground. The referee was confused by the situation. Min Young shouted, "That's a foul," but the referee disagreed, saying there was no foul. The match continued, but though Min Young had stopped the ball, he angrily stood up. "Damn it, I can't let him take all the credit," he muttered. The goal was wide open. "Go for it, Kanazu!" Yeon-woo yelled. "Score the goal." Suzy cheered as well, "Go, Kanazu!" Maru was in position to shoot, but to everyone's surprise, he passed the ball sideways directly to Min Young. Min Young was utterly shocked, frozen in disbelief.